1 minute to blast off. I've just been advised. So take your seats, and we will be starting as soon as the chaplain gets to the front. We'll be ready. We got to wrap it first, right? Open it up first. That was a fast minute, wasn't it? The chaplain's to the front. It's 9 o'clock. I call the executive committee meeting to order for Sunday, December 15th. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Chaplain.
Yes, please remain seated. It's Sunday. We have to have worship service, so please remain seated.
We'll get that out so put in. Wait till it goes. Do the back first, okay?
They're arguing up here about doing a collection plate. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. You know, today is the third Sunday of Advent. So I figured I better preach on Advent since most of you are missing your home church services this morning. So I want to start with Scripture, first from Isaiah 12:2-6. Surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord himself is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. With joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation. In that day you will say, give praise to the Lord, proclaim his name, make known among the nations what he has done, and proclaim what his name is exalted. Sing to the Lord, for he has done glorious things. Let this be known to all the world. Shout aloud and sing for joy, people of Zion, for great is the holy name of Israel among you. From Philippians 4:4-7. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And from Luke 3:7-18. John said to the crowds, come out to be baptized by him. You brood of vipers, who warned you to flee from the coming wrath? Rejoice, produce fruit in keeping with repentance. And do not begin to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father. For I tell you that out of these stones God can rise up children for Abraham. The axe is already at the root of the trees, and every tree that does not produce good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. What should we do then? The crowd asked. John answered, anyone who has 2 shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same. Even tax collectors came to be baptized. Teacher, they asked, what should we do? Don't collect any more than you are required to, he told them. Then some soldiers asked him, and what should we do? He replied, don't extort money and don't accuse people falsely. Be content with your pay. The people were waiting expectantly and were all wondering in their hearts if John might possibly be the Messiah. John answered them all, I baptize you with water, but the one who is more powerful than I will come, the straps of whose sandals I am not worthy to untie. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire. His winnowing fork is in his hand to clear his threshing floor and to gather the wheat into his barn. But he will burn up the chaff with unequitable fire. And with many other words, John exhorted the people and proclaimed the good news to them. John the Baptist appears in the gospel reading today and calls people to get ready to receive Christ. He is in an eloquent form, and he is not always polite, urging his listeners to share what you have, your clothes, your food. Don't collect more than you have. Deal honestly and fairly with each other. Be content with what you have. Don't accuse people falsely, and don't blackmail. These calls are challenging indeed. And yet, this Sunday is the third Sunday of Advent, which is also known as Gaudet, or rejoice. Rejoice because the epistle reading for today starts with that word. So today, in a mixture of rejoicing and preparation for an encounter afresh with Emmanuel, God with us, who will be born as a child in just over a week's time, as well as urging changed behavior, John the Baptist describes the need to be baptized as committing to a journey with Jesus. Journey is a popular word, and so much can be thought of in the kind of language like my weight loss journey, my grief journey, my journey to health and well-being, my school life journey, my faith journey, and my fire service journey. A Christian journey is enacted in every service without even thinking about it. Entering through the church door is entering into a sacred space. In the sanctuary, the congregation gathers and is led in worship. There is an area for reading and preaching the word, even often followed by a time focused in prayer for ourselves, the world, and God's church. Then comes communion and a meeting with Christ and blessing, in bread and in wine. At the ending of all are sent out to share with what has been received with those outside the building. A task not just for leaders, but for everyone. Doing church should equip us for the week, not to be the moment to dust our hands off and say, well, that's it for 7 days. Journeys are everywhere when you think about it. Aging is a journey in time. God is outside time, bigger than this journey. Travel is a journey in space as location changes. God is outside space, bigger than this journey. Journey into self with God. God is bigger than this journey, holding us on the way and on the ground of our being. One more journey to consider is that of Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem, to the stable. They had to make this journey, and God was literally very much in this one. God chose to lay aside time and space to be born as a human being, Jesus, to be born into a family on a certain date in Judea, Bethlehem, a journey that changed everything forever. And through this birth, life, death, and resurrection, Christians now know our own ultimate destination is with God forever. Nothing can separate us from that divine love, as Paul tells us. And so my prayer today is that this week of Advent and the Christmas season following may be filled with good food, friendship, fun, and the odd glass or two of something nice. But also that it will be for each of us as a place of profound journeying with God. And that is in 2025, together, all may dare to speak of it and journey some more. Amen. Please stand. Our prayer requests this morning are still for Delegate Jimmy Malone, LA MSFA Past President Peggy Zembauer, and LA MSFA Past President Carol Hayden. Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, what a wonderful time of the year we have as we remember and celebrate the birth of your Son, Jesus Christ. Father, we just pray for those who are less fortunate than us. Let us help them and rejoice in being able to provide for their needs. Father, we lift up our brothers and sisters who are ravished in the North Carolina and Tennessee area, whose departments were totally destroyed, Father. We just thank you for those hearts in Maryland who have donated apparatus and equipment to help them bring their stations back into service. Father, we thank you for those loving hearts in Maryland that you were able to turn them to love their brothers in service. Father, continue to be with us today as we do the work for the State Association. Father, and we ask you to be with those who are less healthy than us today. Father, watch after them, protect them, and put your healing hands on them. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to call President Skip Carey for his presentation, and President David Fitzgerald, Berlin Fire Company, come forward, please.
While Dave's working his way up, thank you all for again attending to continue to finish the business of this meeting. Dave, thanks to Berlin for hosting us. We've had a great time. You've helped us set up for the meet and greet. It's out here. You've managed to get us a hot breakfast left over, which is good, in addition to the continental. We have two things to present to you. You'll get one today, and at some time at a later date, I'll give you the other one. The important one is today, though. I think you'll like it, which is a check. My brother, thank you.
Thank you. We enjoyed having everybody. Again, if you travel through the area, come to Ocean City. Our house is your house. You're welcome. Stop in. This is the station that's staffed 24/7, so if you need something, stop here. Because if you travel to Ocean City and see, we joke about our Santa Claus house, the red and green that the county made us do our substation. The Planning Commission, they actually pick colors now along the Route 50 corridor. So anybody builds, you have to put the colors they put. But we're glad we have that substation there to serve the community, and we're glad and honored to host the executive committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, brother. Well, I call on Ron Block for a presentation, and then Second Vice President, you'll be up.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. I'm speaking as a Master Mason this morning, member of St. Florian 911 Lodge number 238. I have a presentation from Masonic Charities of Maryland to the Maryland State Firefighters Association. It's a check for $200 from our Child ID program. As you know, the Grand Lodge of Maryland and our lodge participate in the Child ID program that we have at the convention for the past several years and plan to have this coming year. Well, this program is no small endeavor. So to fund it, the Grand Lodge assessed every Mason in Maryland $3 per year for several years, 5 or more. Well, they realized that they had more money than they needed in that fund to sustain the program. So they stopped the $3 assessment, and they went to the lodge and said, we're going to refund money to you, but you have to identify a local charity to receive that donation. The money's not coming back to the lodge, it's not going back to the members. So my lodge, our lodge, chose the Maryland State Firefighters Association. So we're great. I'd like to have all Masons in this room to please stand and join me in making this presentation. Thank you very much, brethren. Who do I give this check to?
Give it to the President. He'll take care of it.
Mr. President, my pleasure. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, Ron. Okay, Second Vice President, you're up, please. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This time, the officers of the Maryland State Firefighters Association, President Skip Carey, First Vice President Charlie Simpson, Second Vice President myself, Secretary Doyle Cox, Assistant Secretary Jonathan Dayton, Assistant Secretary Richard Coons, is Ron here? Assistant Treasurer Mr. Bobby Jacobs, Financial Secretary Mitch Vogt, Chief Chaplain Reverend John Long, Assistant Parliamentarian Harv Woods, Executive Director Kate Lovelace, Executive Assistant Lynn Hawkins. The Executive Committee, I have Chairman Roger Steger, Vice Chairman Mark Bilger, Vice President Malcolm Faust. The rest are committee members: Ron Block,
Thank you, sir.
Steve Cox,
Thank you.
Tim Dayton, Glenn Fishbeck, Mr. Chip Jewell, Mr. Lee Lutz. Randy Smith. Buddy Sutton. And Eric Smothers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Okay, now let's see if I can get this one right this time. But it wasn't my fault there, Mr. Cox. Yesterday, Secretary Doyle didn't put the 80s in the book. Didn't quite. Or 90s, I'm sorry, 90s. Okay, past presidents. 1987, 1988, Mr. Bob Cumberland. 1996 to 1997, Mr. Steve Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
2000, 2001, Roger Steger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
2002 to 2003, Mr. Gene Worthington. 2004, 2005, Mr. Bob Jacobs. 2007, 2008, Mr. Paul Sterling. And you were tardy yesterday, so he was here also yesterday. 2008, 2009, Mr. Frank Underwood. 2010, 2011, Mr. Doyle Cox. 2011, 2012, Mr. Dave Lewis. 2017, 2018, Mark Bilger. 2021 to 2022, Joel McCray. And 2023, 2024, Mr. Eric Smothers.
Thank you, sir.
Trustees, we have Joel McCray today. And then Miss Fire Prevention Madeline Mahan. And Miss Fire Prevention first runner-up, Caitlin Logano. And then with the ladies, we have President Sherry Steffen, Senior Vice President Joan Kramer, and Junior Vice President Holly Trago. That's all, Mr. President, or Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. And, President Sherry, you have anything to say this morning? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good morning. We still have the same presidents, past presidents here that were here yesterday. 1995-96, Sharon Worthington. 2010-2011, Sandy Lutz. You're welcome. 2011-2012, Teresa Chrisman. 2022-2023, Malia Dalton. And 2023-2024, Jean Main. And we also have a couple other officers that are in attendance. We have Joe, the financial secretary. And we have Sam Butterfield, the chaplain. Sharon Worthington, Bessie Marshall. And Kim Shelton, guard. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll start with the Fire Prevention and Life Safety Committee. Teresa.
Everybody. I'm going to start with the ambassadors first so that they can go over all their great achievements so far.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Madeline Mahan, and I'm the current MSFA Miss Fire Prevention for this year and next. We've had a lot of fun going to a lot of the events that you've invited us to, and we're very appreciative of any information that we've been given. So far, over this quarter, I'm going to give my report, and then I will let the first runner-up give hers. But my total events for this quarter was 33. for a grand total of 56 for the half of the year. And just for the second quarter, I covered over 2,594 miles for a total mileage of 3,246.4 miles for the half of the year. Again, very appreciative for all those events. One of the first events that we did in August was the Bring Your Kid to Work Day at the National Fire Academy. That was a lot of fun, a good experience to work with all the children, and it's a wonderful facility there. It's absolutely beautiful. A lot of open houses over the fall we got to attend, got to see how they do it differently, got to compare and give some advice to some of the ones that were a little slower on things that worked, got to see some things that didn't work, didn't grab as much attention. Also went to the Memorial Gala in Annapolis, which was very wonderful. Thank you again for the invitation to that as well. For Cecil County, we had a lot of fire prevention days at the schools. We got to go teach a great number of children, and that was wonderful. And we did get to go to the LA MSFA Fall Conference, a wonderful conference, gave a brief report there, wonderful time. And then the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference, if any of you have not been to that, I highly recommend it. Wonderful information. There's a program that is called, I believe, Charged, and it talks about the electric car fires and different battery fires, and it's a wonderful program that we're definitely going to help share throughout all the different counties, just because that is a widespread for all the fires. And we got to go to a couple Christmas parties, a couple parades, as well as a couple different county meetings, and we're just very appreciative to attend all of those. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Caitlin Gano. I am the current MSFA Miss Fire Prevention first runner-up for 2024-2025. The second quarter, I was able to attend 32 events, those being the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference. I was also able to go to 14 different elementary and preschools to teach fire prevention and life safety skills. And this quarter, I traveled 2,204 miles for a total of 52 events and 2,548 miles. So I am very grateful to be able to do so, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
You guys have any questions for them?
Anybody have any questions or comments? We'd like to thank both of you for your services and your dedication. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cindy Wright Johnson. I am the chair of the subcommittee on Risk Watch as well as Safe Kids. I submitted a fairly detailed handout. I promise I will not read it to you. Just wanted to hit a couple highlights. I believe most of the conferences that I have listed will be talked about by others. There is a Maryland Highway Safety Summit. We do not have dates for that. It is typically in late April, early May. Indications are that it will probably be in May. It brings all of those involved in life safety, and past President Bob Cumberland is always there and always has a display. Law enforcement is there, public health is there, and they are really looking to have more fire and EMS participation because of the increased federal funding in what is termed aftercare, trauma aftercare. And there are many grants nationwide that are available to ensure that if a crash, or be it a vehicle or a pedestrian or rail, has happened, that then they have grant funding to either study or to improve the care for aftercare. There will be presentations and examples from other states presented at that, and I believe there are a few people in the state at research centers who have gotten funding. What Dr. Tim Kearns, who is the head of the Highway Safety Office, is looking for is more local and regional grants. So hopefully we'll have more information. As soon as that's available, I will get it to Kate so it can go out to everyone. I've put together safety messages for January, February, and March. Some of them will seem familiar to you, although they are still important, and we do still have both morbidity and mortality associated with it. A new one that came out this last year for the first time, and I'll be honest, I missed it in January, but the last full week in January every year has been designated as National Passenger Safety Week. And the purpose of that is to empower the people riding in cars to identify hazards, to identify unsafe driving, whether it be their parent, their grandparent, their friend, And a big push nationwide is that just as drunk driving is unacceptable, driving while under the influence of any drug, specifically marijuana, is unacceptable. And that was the major conversation that happened during the Highway Safety and Injury Prevention Forum that was held last week. And there were some scientific presentations on that. There's a handout on each one of them at the very back. We don't want to forget burn safety or poison safety. If you've got questions, I'm happy to answer, but I think the information is there. We are already starting to plan for convention. We had originally planned to do our training Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We will attend the convention meeting on January 6th and adapt from there. If it's only needed Monday and Tuesday, that will not be a problem. The list is there. The one area that we are still looking to have adult leads, because at each of these stations, as I've explained before, there's an adult content expert who then works with the volunteers, is home burn and fire safety. And I have approached Johns Hopkins Burn Center to see if they would be willing to potentially staff that. The other information that's really going to have a total makeover is going to be the medication safety, and that is because of the edibles. Our goals really have not changed. Our grants continue to come in from Highway Safety as well as our federal EMS for Children's Family Advisory, and that funds our Safe Sleep project. It is also funding the babysitting course that is taught. And we do have a few new contacts on that last, on page 4, where it lists the counties and who our contacts are. I want to thank you all for your ongoing support, and we look forward to working in the early part of 2025 to identify some regional resource kits, specifically for 911, and potentially to purchase the apartment firehouse that has a lot more technology. And and Convention Chair and Treasurer Ron Sarnicki and I talked about that yesterday. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions, and we thank you for your support. Have a happy and safe holiday.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, Teresa, who's up next?
Bridget. My name is Bridget Weissler. I am the co-chair with Lori for the Fire Prevention Committee. We are in the process of going through our rules, our questions, to see if there's any changes that need to be made for that. And then we will have all of that ready if any changes need to be made for the February Executive Committee meeting.
Good morning, Kim Shelton, guard for the Ladies Auxiliary. We'd like to invite you guys to save the date for the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference. It's Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at the BWI Airport Marriott. You can, if you have any presentations that you'd like to present, there was a lot of awesome training last year, or this past year. We had an influx of participants that came, and it was awesome. I thought it was awesome. And let's see, I think it's January 1 it goes live.
Yes.
January 15th it goes live. The website at www.midatlanticlifesafetyconference.com.
Just a question, how did the conference compare to previous years, and how did the new location work out for you as far as?
I think it went very well. We were a little, you want to comment on that?
We had a lot more space because, as we know, APL went from 8 classrooms down to 4 classrooms, and then they cut those classrooms in half, and you could only have like 25 people in each room. They still to this day have 2 rooms dedicated to COVID, so that's all their medical supplies and testing if someone comes in with it. So we lost space. So what we were concerned about having the 2 days, we thought it would be great first time, and we had no support. Literally, we had 11 people signed up. And we did Sunday for the volunteers, and not one volunteer signed up for that Sunday aspect or that whole weekend aspect. It was very frustrating. So as a committee, we came together, made a decision, and went to 1 day. And we had to shuffle around a whole bunch of stuff, but we were able to capture the most important and impactful programs that we could, and we asked them to move from the Sunday to the Monday. And you know, I'm always asked, can you do something more for the volunteers? It's really hard for me to get off of work. I need to do this. Yes, was it an impact of $150? Yep, but it was one of the cheapest conferences that anybody could go to. And we don't make money on this conference. It goes right back into the aspect of the programs, paying for the people coming in, their hotels. You know, we did a lot of stuff. And very frustrating. So, I mean, this is Teresa Ann talking. This is not whatever. But what's important is we try to do what we can to bring the best training possible to this region, to this state. And we offered grants through the Maryland Fire Chiefs Association to do 25 grants. And I don't believe many people took that up on an offer because they have to pay up front. Was there a way we could go around that? No, because that's part of the grant process. We want to make sure you show up. We did have some people that signed up to do the grant. They never showed up. So, plus, we had to, they set aside a hotel room for them. Committee had to pay for the hotel rooms. So we're working on that through that, but I honestly think the movement to the new location really brought a robust difference in this. We actually got a new committee member who's coming from, what'd she say? Bob Ryan got it for us. She's actually the president of code enforcement for the country. Like, they have their own code enforcement association. She's the current president, and she's from Maryland. So she's gonna bring in more code enforcement to us. So that's what we're trying to find. We're trying to look at all the different areas and avenues, plus testing. So that was a question, if we have the ability to bring in a pre or post test. We were told by some of the fire inspectors that are part of our group that when they go somewhere for their certifications, they get a way to get certified training hours. So we even thought about different ways to do that. So that it's growing. This is our 65th year for this. We're the only state that is continually doing this program from the governor's conference when President Truman requested every state do something. The only state. So it's been going pretty good. So we just trying to find that niche. Yeah, 180 people came. So we had a good turnout.
Now, one time you were talking about combining that with the public educators conference. That's no longer.
We're not
being
done.
looked at?
That's separate. Cindy can talk about that.
Okay. We talked about it, and it would have made it so we'd have to have 10 or 12 breakouts, and there really isn't a good venue to do that. It also is two totally different audiences. So what we did last year was take the submissions that came in for the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety, and those that were totally community outreach, public education, I honestly stole, with the committee's permission, and put them into the March conference. So the March conference will remain on a Saturday, hosted by MIFRE, and Teresa's got the save the date, the flyer is also in my report, and it will be tools and training on what to physically take out to the community. It will cover multiple areas of life risk, and we are, I would say, 80% ready to launch that brochure and online training as soon as we get through the holidays, and we can work with the webmaster at MIFRE, and Scott Wood has been very involved in that and very key to making that a success. This conference, which we used to call the September conference, we're now calling the Fall Conference because it's currently in November. It may not stay on that first Monday in November because this year it was attached to backed up to the election. It will again next year and every 2 years. So expect it to be a fall conference, but it is to focus on the science and the enforcement and educating the public on code. There is obviously overlap in preventing death and disability, but two very different action steps that would come out of it. I hope that is clearer than mud.
Thank you for the information.
It's a growing animal. That's all I can say. So from the aspect of the committee, we've been actively working very hard to do a lot of different projects. On Friday, there was a fire fatality in Baltimore County. They went out Saturday afternoon to install and check smoke alarms in the region in that area of where the fire occurred. They took one to the hospital. I don't know. I haven't talked to the lieutenant yet today to find out what's going on. But just since we did our report, that's what's going on. On the aspect of fire deaths, I know that Kenny talked a little bit about things, but when I started this community risk reduction plan and report that Jason had me establish, I looked at every region where we have our strengths and our weaknesses. And honestly, I think we have a great save in Western Maryland from those smoke alarms, because those smoke alarms came from a grant through Young Minds Inspired out of Michigan, the public health. Maryland is a part of this program, and those alarms that were, I've received probably about 2,000 alarms from Michigan, which is a nice thank you. So those alarms went out to the regions. They did a community risk reduction weekend back in October of last year, and those alarms installed came from those that program. I meet with them again on Monday, and we find out if we're going to be getting some more. Mary Kay Oppie from Vision 2020 told me that we'll probably receive another 1,000, but she's looking at the numbers right now. She's working with First Alert to find out what their price is going to be, and moving forward, we'll know how many much more smoke alarms we'll have. But right now, our fire deaths are on the rise, as we know. It's due to issues with the weather, heating. We had a CO death recently where when they went in to inspect the system, they found that it was not a well-maintained service, like heater, and the father passed away, and the mother and the child were actually not as exposed as he was. And that same day, we put out a message, not knowing, had no idea that had actually happened yet, and I put out a message about space heaters and, you know, the whole carbon monoxide aspect. And and later that morning, I was told, but when you set up something on Facebook and social media, it's timed out. You don't expect something like that to happen. So I do know that is our first carbon monoxide loss this year. So bridging into the carbon monoxide grant that we received, Joe Walters and I met with procurement on Tuesday to ask us how we're going to get these NOx alarms. At one point, we were told we could be a sole source vendor, we could go straight to NOx. Well, another person in procurement said we're not allowed to do that because of state laws and such. So they would give the 25% match to these carbon monoxide alarms. Well, I told them the only two places that you could buy them was Walmart or Menards, or go straight to NOx. Since then, they were able to secure them through, they were able to bridge it to not just those two locations, but now Home Depot and Lowe's carry the English to Spanish carbon monoxide alarms. And also, Safeware is a certified vendor, and also Granger. But they're not going to go through Granger because Granger tripled the price on the alarm. So they'll stick with Home Depot and Lowe's because we were told Home Depot and Lowe's have permission to go to case price. So I'm looking at a $15 alarm broken down from about $45 to $50. So that's what we're working with procurement now to get those CO alarms. And then each region will receive so many alarms. And talk to a couple people that have marinas in their first due. We're going to hit those areas pretty hard during the summertime. I have to go through the prison to get the printing done for this because that's where that comes from. So we're going to do door hangers. It's the best just to have that one piece that has all the information on it. They can hang it on a door, and then they can call us back if they need a CO alarm. But we're just trying to get these alarms as fast as possible. But as we know, state government has all their, and this is new to me because I'm like, well, I just gonna go buy them, you know? Just give me the credit card. So, but that's what we're doing. But it is what it is. Our community risk reduction weekend is focused solely on the fire service. So the fire marshal's office will be putting out a specific message each day of the week. It will go through social media channels, and then I'll send it to you guys so you can send it out to your departments. It's focused on economic incentives this year. This is the message. CRR Week just sent me some language to be used in a proclamation. So we're going to ask the fire marshal to do one, and then I'm going to get with Chief Phillips and the president so that we can have the three come together on one proclamation as a statewide. And I'm going to include the ladies also because I think it's important to include that part of the committee. So the four entities will bridge that, and we'll work on it. So for Maryland's Community Risk Reduction Weekends, we have chosen May 17th and 18th of 2025 and October 18th and 19th of 2025. Those have been made, and we'll secure those weekends. Again, about the CRR save on November 17th, that was back-to-back fires within 2 days of each other. Well, actually a day of each other. Both occupants were asleep at the time of those fires. And those smoke alarms awoke them for this. So this is information that was sent back to Michigan and to the federal government on our saves, because I was on a national call on Monday, and I explained how important this grant is because they're about to submit for another Fire Act grant, and last year's Fire Act grant was removed. And Kathy Patterson, who is in charge of Fire Act grants, was on the call. And my comments about how important this program is and the frustration that someone reviewing a grant can't see the importance of, or someone that doesn't understand the importance of these grants, denied us last year. And of this, 25 states were denied opportunities. And Kathy Patterson, with my words, went back to her supervisors, and she has reopened this grant application from Young Minds Inspired in Vision 2020, and hopefully this grant will be refunded and finding the funding, because I believe it's going to happen. And she wants to talk to me, and I don't know if I'm in trouble, but I'll take the heat because I think it's important that we ensure that these programs are there. But I really think it's going to be the mouthpiece that, as Mary Kay says, my simple statement made someone aware of something that's happening that they did not know about. So hopefully we'll know more from that. I did talk about our awards to our committee and how important it is. And I also want to express that the awards are not based off of the simple what we used to give out for each award place. Working with the budget committee and Sarnke, I've been able to, once again last year, and I hope again this year, secure the NFPA kits for each of the winners. It was a great resource and tool. And last night, myself, Sierra, we went down to West Side and we did fire prevention with them through the Office of the Fire Marshal. They had 300 people there. And they have a kit that I brought them some resources. And I'm like, you have an opportunity. You have a great fire prevention program here. Please submit this. I tell people all the time, submit this. It's broken down by class of population. It's very simple. We have the 7 levels. We've had associations win. We've had the smallest departments that don't think they're going to win because it's that golden opportunity to get out there and educate our communities. So I'm fully trying to get this out as everywhere as possible we can, because if you think about it, it's based on what your community is. Don't think that you're going to compete against a big city or county or whatever. It's the little ones that really do the best. And it's just that spark. We have the single and we have a full year. You know, and I told Jeff Thompson last night, I'm like, dude, put the thing together and I will help you. I will print it out, put it in a book, and throw it in the pile because it's so important to get this information out there. So ultimately, I turn this back into the NFPA. I give them this information and they share it across their pages because they're seeing what we're doing here as a state. And they're sharing our stuff with the rest of the world, and that's why I think it's so important that everybody understand it to get in this. I want to bankrupt the bankrupt of the budget committee, and I know that's wrong, but my golden opportunity is to find that scam, and I'm going to work it. So yeah. So again, we're working on our items for the budget committee for the next year. I'm looking at some things. I've been talking to Ronnie and to Chief Cox and just, you know, making sure that we have what we have. There's some things that we can possibly do, and we're just trying to get the information out there as much as possible. From the national programs, NFPA, Vision 2020, and the U.S. Fire Administration, under the Fire Administration, we are following this very closely. Jason, Joe, and Allison are going to the nearest summit in January at the United States Fire Academy, and where they're going to learn more about what's happening and how this will all affect us. From the community risk reduction side, we are supposed to have a meeting with them online, and the summit's actually bringing all the fire marshals together, so that's why they're going to that, to find out what they're going to be dealing with. What's unique about this is when you install a smoke alarm, let's give you an example. When you go on your call, you're now going to have an ability to go and do, if you're doing a smoke alarm install. So you have that. If you go to do community risk reduction hours, you go to a talk or whatever, you're going to put that in nearest, because they want to capture all this, because we're missing this important information. And then if you ever do want to apply for a Fire Act grant, all that information is there, and you'll be able to just, as they say, click a button and you get all your stats. You don't have to try to figure out how to read it. You don't need the code. Allison does a great job funneling all that information out, you know, and putting it in there. And sometimes it's hard for her to get it all, like, brought out. Well, we'll learn more, because each time they have an update, the update brings a little bit of information, but then it still leaves you like, well, what does it look like? There's 200 companies across this country that are like test subjects for nearest. Their first 9 were, the beta testers were large departments and then a couple small departments. I believe Montgomery County is one of the departments, but they're not doing all of it. They're doing certain parts of it. And the closest that I know is doing the full thing is Fairfax. So I'm waiting to find out from them if I can come and look at their system, because we just want to know what it looks like. Really, what's it going to capture? But even if it's different from what they're dealing with, you're still going to be using your fire reporting information. So you're not going to just go into the nearest, like, they're going to be all tied in, but that's, I'm still like, I don't know. We'll figure that out. Vision 2020, their updates, we've been putting them out as they come out. There's a new section for training, so we'll get that to you guys. And then the NFPA is, they're working on their national programs now, and they'll let us know it by June, what they're going to be doing the message on. So our fire prevention message today is about holiday baking, because we've had a couple of burns across the state, and I said, well, this is perfect. So we'll use that as this message for this weekend. And then the NFPA, my contract as a state person is due next week. Jason has to sign it, and then I'll send it back. But I'm waiting for them. They're going to be breaking down our regions once again. So right now I report to Robbie Dawson out of Virginia. But Robbie's so engrossed in codes right now because of all the different changes that he doesn't have really time to do the CRR stuff. So they're going to be bringing back 3 more people across the country that will, they're going to go back to regions. So from 3 people, it's going to go back to 6. So hopefully that'll help us. Other than that, we're steady going as much as we possibly can. And if you need us, we're here. Invite the girls when you have an event or open house. If you're doing anything, let them know. You know, we're here to help. So any questions?
Just an easy question. Do you have, or does the Fire Marshal's Office have, a list of potential grant resources for smoke alarms that an individual company can go to?
No. I can get on that. I'll work on that. I do know that, like, the O'Leary Foundation, stuff like that, just to let y'all know, Pepco's not going to be doing smoke alarms anymore. They have completely decided, because that's Acceleron, and that's on the Eastern Shore, so they've completely stopped. The last 3,000 were issued to DC, Montgomery, and Prince George's in September. And what's frustrating is the lady that's taken over in that as the vice president for that region, She had a fire when she was 6 years old, and she told Pete Peterson that the smoke alarms were not a high important factor for this company. But then she said at the press conference that she had a fire in her house when she was 6 years old, and that's how they got out of their house, was a smoke alarm sounding. So I looked at one of the ladies from DC, and we both looked at each other like, you're stopping a program, and you say it's not impactful, but yet then you say that you had a fire when you're 6. Okay. So that was a little hard to hear and to take in. Jason and I have talked about trying to find funding for this. Either the state will fund these because it's actually in the fire code that, you know, this is important for people to have, and also looking at in-kind donations or anything possible, that there could be other ventures out there that we just don't know about. Firehouse subs is an opportunity, but you have to have a firehouse sub in your first due. The O'Leary Foundation does a lot of training, but they also give out smoke alarms. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about that. I did talk to somebody that has a nonprofit and they were asking about something. And I said, well, you can go to the O'Leary Foundation because they do a lot for the fire service. Well, this is a line of duty person that's trying to create a foundation to support spouses. So I said, well, let's all look at them and see what they can do for us. So there is an opportunity out there. We just have to look for the list. But Jason has me looking at that stuff right now.
Two attaboys for the committee. One, the NFPA package that was presented with a huge asset to us when we do our open house. So between you're working with the budget committee and everything, that's a huge thing, and we do need to get more departments. It's so simple to put that in, and like I said, you're not competing. We're a small department in Western Maryland. We're not competing against, you know, departments in Montgomery and PG County for it, so that's a plus. We are my region is the one that had the two with the smoke alarms, and like I said, that's huge.
They were both asleep when that happened.
Oh, yeah. And I think the one was a trailer.
Yep.
And I can't remember what the other one was in Crescent Town, but there would have been additional fatalities.
It kind of looked like a trailer,
Yeah.
but it's a longer. One's definitely a trailer, but
Yes.
the other one's like a long. I have the picture here.
Yeah, like I say, I looked at both of them when
Yeah.
when it came out, and that's huge. And like I said, both of those departments took part in those community risk reductions. And I know there's been other departments that have taken advantage of that, Potomac being one of them. And you were talking about the new fire reporting system. The way Jason explained to me, like if you're using a vendor, this is the huge plus for us. If you're using a vendor, it's going to be seamless for us to see it. It's up to the vendor to make the plugins for the new mirror. So I felt a lot more comfortable moving forward that we weren't going to go have to hunt for this thing. But like I said, in talking to Jason, that's what it looks like. So I guess just stay tuned to see how it works. My only fear is being able to get information out of it.
Yep.
That's my only fear, that we're going to put information in, and a lot of departments, even small departments like myself, we use that, what we're currently using to generate reports to the public and stuff like that. So that's my only fear with dealing with the federal government.
Well,
that
the
we're
other
gonna
thing
put
is
it in, not get it out.
unique is all the major companies that do the reporting, they're part of this whole issue.
Right.
So I think we get a lot, like as Joe says, we get a lot of smoke and mirrors each time they have one of these webinars. And it's like, what are you telling me? I just want to see it. So when I was for policy review for NFPA at the academy, the lady from the reporting section of USFA came and she goes, I want to talk to you about NERIS. I'm going, oh, I wonder what she's going to be able to show us. I said, okay, so show us what it's going to look like. And she goes, well, they haven't given us the opportunity. I said, then why are you here talking? You know, this is the same thing that we just heard on the webinar. It's not different than what it is. So I think we just need to see what it looks like. Just give it to us.
And I guess the other side to that, after Jason said that, was our DES, which through the county funds the software platform that we use, they've already contacted the vendor, and the vendor said, yes, we are on board. We are one of the groups working with FEMA to make this, somewhat seamless on the end user part. So that's a plus, I think. So.
Yeah, and I do want to say something, you reminded me. Tim brought me something really important yesterday. 2 pictures of a CO alarm, smoke combination alarm, that was bought on Amazon. This does not meet UL standard. So I sent it to the commanders to be on the lookout, and we got to do we're working on like a special information sheet to say this is important because, as you said, it was a rental property, and the person that owns it did not have any smoke alarms in the house, correct? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. No, there are sealed batteries. Yeah. So something if you read into this alarm, it meets European standard. And that's what I'm concerned about, because you can go on Amazon and buy anything. But if you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or any of those major markets, it's blocked from the fire marshal's aspect because they put out something that they can't send, anything that's not UL approved, or if it's not 10-year sealed, if it's standalone, cannot be sold through the website. And they can't be shipped. It's blocked. But through Amazon, that block's not happening. And supposedly, that's supposed to happen. Amazon's supposed to be on the watch for that. So something slipped, because the guy from Amazon came to a meeting one time and told us at NASM that they have strict blocks in there to ensure that they meet code. I'm like, well, you're not, because this walked through. So I'm going to send his pictures to Gary West, and Gary's going to send it to the guy at Amazon.
And thanks for taking a look at that. But if you go on, you look at the manufacturer's name, and you go on, they've got a beautiful website.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable when you look at the website of this company. You think it's reputable. But like I said, we were concerned that day, and my concern moving forward is we've got a lot of rentals in our area, and they're not. We have a code enforcement for the county and the city. The city inspector knows about it. He's aware of it. The town has actually put a memo out into the water bills so that the property owners see this. It has to have a UL or some type of testing laboratory, but they go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever, and they're looking at $30 for an alarm. They go over to Amazon and they look for it. They search the same thing, but this thing pops up, and they can get 4 or 5 of them for the same $30 or $40. So that's the issue, and I think that's what happened in this case. Is probably they searched Amazon,
yeah,
and they were 4 alarms was comparable to 1 alarm at Lowe's and Lavelle.
So I do know that NASM did take something else to a company and told them that they had to cease and desist on selling in the country, but they have extinguishers that they have on their website. It says that they rather have the aesthetic pleasing look of an extinguisher compared to what the extinguisher looks like. So it mocks a olive oil bottle, it mocks a wine bottle, it mocks having a bourbon bottle and everything, instead of the true red color of the extinguisher. So NASM sent a letter. I don't know, I haven't seen any of this. So we found it on social media. I brought it to Teresa Neal's attention at the USFA, and then Gary West at NASM, and they worked together to send a letter to this company telling them and finding out that it meets European standard. Why they're doing that, I don't understand, but I haven't seen their website lately show up or pop up, so maybe they did get a block, I don't know.
Teresa, thank you for all your work. When do you find time to sleep? So, as you know,
I went to the Cork Bar last
yeah.
night. Let's get that out of the way. I did go to the Cork Bar last night, Roger.
So, Montgomery County's had 3 fatals in the last month. 2 of them which were cooking and they found document
Yeah,
hoarding condition.
yes.
Do you talk about hoarding conditions?
We have had hoarding conditions, comments before. We've done that. I'm going to research that again because I think it's important, especially now the wintertime, everybody's coming in. Prince George's County had a hoarding condition. The fire chief used the hoarding condition as the excuse. But really, that's not the excuse. It's not what started the fire. It's the person's actions that started the fire. The obstacle was the hoarding condition for them to get out. So you have to be very careful about how you say it. So we've pulled all that stuff. I do have a canned presentation, and I've given that to the fire marshals to use. So we'll send it to the rest of you guys so you have it also, so when you go somewhere and you can talk and you can share it. Because I think your fire chief is very active in this, and he's taken the Prince George's County model, and I'm very pleased with what he's doing. And Beth Ann, I can't say enough about Beth Ann. They're working so hard. Everybody's doing so much there, but it's those things that are not getting through the cracks, or they've been this so long that one spark made something happen, and then that's the issue. But there is an actual task force on hoarding. That has not been an active group in a very long time. Actually, Fire Marshal Gracie was one of the lead people on that task force when he went from Montgomery to Virginia. He stayed on it. He's always been very adamant about hoarding because one of the issues that they see in fire deaths for firefighters has been hoarding conditions. So he's always been that. I do know that when we give our report in June each year, that is a topic that is covered by the fire marshal's office. But the aspects is you have a half room that there's nobody in there is listening to it. So that's the message is missed.
Teresa, I apologize. You made a comment yesterday, and I forgot to follow up on it, dealing with the state police budget. You said it had been cut. Is that their current budget or their proposed budget for next
Current
year?
budget.
Current budget.
Yeah.
And was the fire marshal's office cut in any way?
No.
Just the state police?
It's the state police, but there's such a small aspect of that budget, the nugget wasn't touched, so they did look at like their overtime and like some training, but because the training is so unique and it has to happen, that really hasn't been cut.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any other questions, comments? Teresa, you covered everything in your fire prevention branch, right?
No, I do need to talk about the trailers. With the help of Hawkins and Tim from United Communities, both trailers have been refurbished. They're at the farm right now. They did go out to different events. There was one event that they dropped the trailer off. They asked if they needed help with anything, and they said, no, we got it. And then when they came back to pick up the trailer, they never used it because the person that wanted the trailer was afraid to set the trailer off. So, or you go through the actions of utilizing the trailer. So, myself, Tim, and we talked about what we need to do. We're going to create, we've had speaking points before, but I think what's going to happen is someone from that side of the committee will stay with the trailer and be that mouthpiece. So, we'll work with the department, we'll identify, and then whoever's there, if we have to, we'll send a fire marshal down to that location to ensure that they actually have the right message, because we also want to ensure that the departments that are using them understand the nuance and how to set it and create a proper way. Thanks.
Teresa, is that where the trailers are going to stay now?
Huh?
Is that where the trailers are going to stay now?
I think they're going to stay at the farm because we're going to lose that spot in Easton
Right.
where they have been, because that development is slowly taking over. So we're just, I think that's where it's going to be. And then we have two tows. Sarnicki has a tow truck, not a tow truck per se, but it's a farm truck that can tow that. So either Hawkins will tow or Tim will trailer the actual trailer somewhere.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we clean that up, because that's been a thorn for
It's fixed.
several, yeah.
It's fixed.
Just want to make sure that we can get the trailers where they need to go
Well,
to, and that's the,
yeah, and
you know, is that,
we have 2 people that are willing to do that. Yes, Kate?
Can you create the online form for people to request it?
Yes.
And then pass to the staff to handle the request?
Sure.
To make sure that they're on the schedule like we just did for
Yeah.
fire prevention.
Yeah.
This way the request will automatically go through the website.
Yeah.
And then the talking points and everything will attach to the
Okay.
and that whole thing. And
Yeah, I'll work with you. Yep.
we can upload it.
Yeah.
This way everybody tracks all the
Yep, and I've started fixing all our tip sheets with a new banner and everything, so I gotta get that taken care of for you too.
And there is an action report that's required by MSFA for them to facilitate all that together in the
Sure.
application.
Yep.
Thank you. Bridget, I was just gonna ask you, you wanna do your recruitment and retention while you're up there?
Nope, I'm good. I can wait.
Okay,
They're still in
thank you.
class. We're good.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the awards branch. And when we get done with that is, information and technologies after that.
I gotta go over here.
That's right. Time for him to go to work. Good morning.
Morning.
Have a couple things to present to you, and I'll let Mr. Jacobs go with the Shimer Award.
Good morning, everyone. If you recall at the last meeting, I briefed you in reference to making changes to the Shimer Award. Since then, the committee has reviewed the roles of the award as well. We contacted the Shimer family and presented our information and request to them, and they concurred with our recommendation. Basically, what we are requesting for approval is changing the submission deadline date from May 1 till April 15th. That allows us a little bit more time to review. If you recall, last year we had over 15 nominations presented to us, and it also allows us to get the information to the secretary in order to prevent a delay in getting all that information in place for the convention. In addition, it also allows us to inform the individuals that present the nomination so that they can contact the nominee and hopefully have that individual at the convention for the award. So that is the one request we are presenting for your review and hopefully approval. And the other is under rule number 4. It currently says the nomination must be submitted for an individual's effort only, and therefore submission of the nomination is to recognize the one individual and not a group, department, or company. What we're saying here is changing it to only one nomination per company and department. And the reason for that is last year we had 5 individuals from the same organization. And it really, in our opinion, kind of puts a rough decision making when you have 5 individuals from one organization. And it's not saying that not all of them are eligible, It's just saying that you kind of put one against the other within the same organization, and we feel it's a disservice in a sense. So that's the other request we are making, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Yeah. We got a motion from Chip Jewell, seconded by Dale Fishsack, to approve the recommendations. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
The second request that we have, you should have a copy of this. It's by electronics. Also, I think I handed out one this morning to you. The Zimbauer Award. This is for the company with the most training hours. In the handout that you have, it explains what we're doing. We would like to retire the Zimbauer Trophy and establish 2 training awards using the same criteria as the Zimbauer, with the exception of a company department that has between 1 and 99 members, riding members, or the members that are taking training and so on, would be 1 award. Then anyone with, any company with 100 or more members would be the 2nd award. At the present time, we have no name for the individual 2 trophies. There will also be a 2nd and 3rd place winner of this. Steve?
Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, just a comment on that. As you know, the submissions go to MIFRE, and operations section validates all the training. And I've been doing that prior to my retirement in 2003 all the time, and then now that I've been back, my secretary does that. The challenge that I presented to the awards committee was those companies that had 100, 150 members couldn't at all compete with a company that had 25 members. Because the company with 25 members, they could have 1 or 2 members take EMT, and by the formula that was being used, that company, and I'll use Bel Air, could have a number of members taking EMT, 25 members in fact, and it still didn't come out in the percentages the amount as the other. That's why Doyle and I talked in length about it, that there should be a breakdown between a large and a small department. As a matter of fact, at one time we even talked about small, medium, and large, but felt that the small department, the large department, would give the opportunity for those larger departments to at least put in and compete where it just wasn't feasible with the current. And also talking to the Zimbauer family, as Doyle indicated, the timing is right.
Steve, should we add the word operational when we say members, just to be clear?
Actually, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Operational.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we have, Liberty Town, we have over 100 members, but way less than that are operational.
And this would be taken from the certificate, yeah.
Okay, so it'll be taken from the
Yeah.
credentials where we say how many operational.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
And
I think putting that in there will clarify that, though.
That's where we verify it right now.
Yep.
Yet, well, as of right now, it will be known as the training award, unless you want to go ahead and we'll put your name in or your company in for the large, and Chip, if you want to take.
We call it Doyle Cox Award if you want. You put up the sponsorship for it.
Anyway, but we're looking for award sponsors for these awards, first, second, and so.
Okay, we have a motion made by Dale Fishsack, right? I never can get his name right, Fishsack, seconded by Chip Jewell, that we support the recommendations of the awards committee with the training award. Any discussion?
Is it going to be a trophy again, or is it going to be plaques, or what's it going to be?
It could be.
Okay.
But here, you indicated the trophy. Same as Zimbauer.
Right.
According to this, the trophy that would be passed down and then plaques.
Right. We've got to come up with some type of recommendation, or rather, some type of award there. The big trophy, what we're going to suggest is it would be moved to MIFRE. Being that it is for training, okay. I've talked to Mrs. Zimbauer. She had no preference, and I've talked to her a couple times on this. She's agreements with retiring it, and we can retire this at the ocean this year or next year coming up. So go from there. But I'm looking at a plaque. I'm looking at a trophy. Depends on what we come up with through the budget for his spending to get this going.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion, signify.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Anything else, sir?
That is it on the awards. Yeah, that's it for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Firefighter Year Committee. Hall of Fame. And the Shimer we did, okay. Next up, Information Technology Branch. Richard Snyder. Thank you. Strategic Incentive Initiative Branch.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve Cox.
just want to point out that the Public Address Committee also submitted a report electronically on what they were doing. Chris May did.
One of the few times I actually did.
That's all I wanted to mention it.
You don't have a report then. Is there anything we need to act on in your report?
No, sir, I just put in there that I provided support.
Okay. Use the microphone.
Use the microphone.
Come to the microphone. As long as this thing's working. All right, I just submitted in the report that I provided AV support to the Federation of Fire Chaplains Conference and the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference. That's it.
Thank you.
And so, and just a little explanation as far as what's been going on with the microphones. They operate in the 2.4 gigahertz range. Unfortunately, cell phones, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth also operate within that range, and the system itself auto searches for a correct channel. So that's what's unfortunately happening when they drop out. And honestly, I don't really have any control over that. I went with this system to try to get away from like the regular radio interference because we were getting a lot of feedback issues in the system and always seemed to be like a little buzz in the background. But it's still a radio signal, so if there's other sources, it's going to have issues. We're doing our best to minimize that, but a lot of it's just kind of out of my control. So, any other questions?
Thank you. Steve.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend Strategic Planning Steering Committee. It should be changed because it's the immediate chairman, past chairman of the executive committee. That should be Chip Jewell.
No problem.
I was that last year.
You got a report? Thank you. Okay, for the past presidents committee, we're planning our luncheon during the convention. More will be coming out on that. And also we're planning a boat trip at Suicide Bridge for a Saturday in September. And I'll probably wait till after the convention before I send that out, so we don't get people confused about which one am I supposed to go to. Supposed to go to both of them, but we'll wait till after the convention before you get the September invitation.
You already
Any question?
You already got the dates or not? You're gonna wait for that?
I got a date. I don't have it in my head, so I'm not gonna tell you.
Okay.
It's a Saturday in September. I think it's somewhere around the 13th or 14th, but.
So it's one of 4 Saturdays, so.
It's the 13th of September there, sir. And during the convention, it'll be the Tuesday during the convention. That's in June if you want to look that one up.
That would be,
All right, Chip, you're up again for Risk Management Committee.
Policies have been renewed. I do need to get with the President's Car Committee to make sure that we got everything updated correctly. I think we went over it before, we sent the renewal in, and I haven't double checked with Mitch, but I think we're okay, but we'll verify the vehicles. That's usually the big thing every year that somehow gets screwed up.
Thank you. Okay. Now we're at the Public Information Branch. Ron Watkins up, Jonathan Dayton on deck.
Good morning, everyone. Ron Watkins for the Public Relations Committee. Was not submitted to you electronically. Wanted to just check and see how well y'all could read. It was delivered to you yesterday. I'm going to read a few of the bullet points. It's the end of the year is almost here. That's not a secret, but every year we hear the same thing. Oh, we can't get anybody for awards. Now is the time to start looking your membership over and see who qualifies and could be eligible for any of the awards that the State Firemen's Association gives away. Firefighters Association does the same thing. This is one of those things where kind of goes by the way, and near the end of the time, oh yeah, we ought to try to put somebody in, or in a lot of cases, just nobody is put in at all because nobody thinks about it or feels like doing it. You all sitting here on the executive committee are primary ambassadors to the fire service throughout the whole state. Every one of you represents a jurisdiction. And when you go back, you tell you people what things went on with the executive committee, why don't you tell them about, hey, look at your membership. See if there's anybody that can be nominated for any of the MSA awards. Doesn't cost you anything. It's a good way to show the people that serve under you that you are noticing what they're doing and you appreciate. That's the key right there. Just let them know that you're really appreciating what they're doing. The holidays are a good time, and the holidays are on us. We're just about over with the holidays, a lot of them, and some of the departments go way out. They do saddle runs. They do all kinds of things. They decorate their station. Other stations don't do anything at all. This is a very good time of the year, and this is something to think about. If you can't do anything this year, maybe next year. You want to show the community you serve that you're more than just a garage where they keep a couple trucks and run up and down the road once in a while. It's nice to decorate. But it's really nice to put a fire prevention message out in front of the station, even if you just do it with a signboard. letting people know that they gotta keep their trees safe, keep them watered and safe, and keeping an eye out on their electrical usage. Some places I can't understand how in the world they can manage to run the electric for their houses. They've got enough lights up to light up New York. But is their system able to handle it? And that's the thing that you need to let them know that you're doing it. And when you advertise and tell the people what you're doing, the people knows you care about them. I'd like to remind all of you to tell your people, if you're not necessarily individual members, but at least somewhere on one of the pieces of apparatus that responds. It's getting to be cold weather now. We've been very fortunate so far this year. We haven't had nearly the winters that we could have had. But you know as well as I do that the next 2 or 3 months are going to be times with very bad weather. And it's a good time to put some extra, get a few pairs of socks and some gloves, especially waterproof gloves, to carry on one of the pieces of apparatus so the members have something to keep their hands and feet taken care of when they go out on the nights when it's really cold. There's a lot of opportunities right now going on, and we had one this weekend that we couldn't do because we were down here, but there's just stuff going on all over the place for free training available to the members of your people. And this is a great opportunity for them to get some extra chances to learn a little bit more about the fire service, to learn a little bit more about what they're doing, and maybe help make them a little safer too. On the page 2 of the thing I sent you, one of the things at the very top part, don't forget to use your fire prevention ambassadors. We got our 2 ladies here this year, this weekend, and they've been down here for both yesterday and today. A lot of times the fire departments get to, oh, we need somebody to go talk to the American Legion, Lions Club, Holly Homemakers, anybody. But if you can get a hold of one of the ladies that are our fire prevention ambassadors, they already have a lot of good information at hand. They have a good speech. They look professional, they sound professional, and they're more impressive to the local clubs than some firemen that they know already. These are people, this is a guest speaker that comes in, but they can give you very good information, and they're excellent in making the presentations for fire prevention things to the various organizations. It helps your department, it makes your department look good, it makes us look good. And lastly, I'm going to just bring up that something I used to have been hearing over the years. Every time you get ready to have a banquet, oh man, we ain't going to bring right them damn freeloaders. Talking about the politicians. And the bottom line of this is simply, these are the people that are voting for your money. They're the ones that come up with where they're going to put the money from the county, who's going to get what. When you go to get something, these are the people you go to now. You want those people to come in and see that some of your members are getting awards, people are attending, and you have a good department operating. It's not one of these deals where you're just thinking, go on in and eat dinner and then leave. We want to show the politicians that we're trying to impress what we're doing, what we have to do for our people, what we do for our area. I just want to say now that with Christmas and Hanukkah falling on the same day this year, I think I'd like to wish all of you a good holiday season, a safe holiday season. And any questions you have or anything that we can help you with, please let me know.
Thank you, Ron. Anybody have any questions? All right. Jonathan, you're up. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Jonathan, your name's not Jonathan, but your name's Joel.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here. If you need my contact information, it's here. The committee's under good progress at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We like those kind of reports.
Right on.
That's the way they all should be. Joe, we'll take you now. Frank Underwood, you're on deck.
All right. Good morning, everyone. The next event from the Marketing and Events Committee will be the Hotel Motel Restaurant Association, their Spring Trade Expo, first week in March. This is an excellent opportunity for us to make contacts for our summer convention and to also spread and promote our mission. Kate is in the process of ordering new handouts for us. And again, I want to thank Kate and Lynn and Barb for their participation, and John Denver and Chief Phillips for their assistance and advice. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Joe? Thank you. Frank, you're up historical and archives, firefighters room.
We did historical and archives yesterday, but as far as public thing, I put it under both the same category. People call me when good old Uncle Fred calls and says, Frank, you should know this. You know, my Uncle Fred was on a committee back in 1836, which I fall in that category. And I want to know what committee he was on and this and that. All they're doing is writing obituaries. So I spend most of my time sitting at the firehouse going through books, Xeroxing, and then sending it to people, and that's about as far as it goes. That ties up a lot of my time. But, you know, if we have a slow week, nobody dies, I'm in good shape.
Thank you. Glad you and Skipper take care of them old things. All right, we're going to the Resource Management Branch. Bill Hildebrand gave his report yesterday on MDM. Search and Rescue, I don't know if anybody's going to represent that committee because Bob Phillips is attending the Maryland Fire Chiefs. MCAT. Okay, Bob, you're up with the fire police. Welcome there, Deputy. Glad to have you here.
Good morning, and I have a guest with me today from the Worcester County Sheriff's Office.
Somebody got protected.
Corporal Weiss. He's representing the county sheriff who, through the Maryland Sheriff's Association and the president, who is Carroll County Sheriff DeWeese, designated them to come to our meeting because we're asking you to approve the regulations or guidelines for the Fire Police Committee. And hopefully all of you have had a chance to review them. I think they were sent out in late September, early October, so it's been a good while ago. But Kevin Arbaugh, who is the chair of the committee, is out looking at tow trucks. That's why he's not here today. But Sheriff DeWeese did designate somebody here so he wouldn't have to travel from Carroll County down. And so Lieutenant Treitzman has looked at these regulations or standards, whatever you want to call them, and has written the executive summary to send back to Sheriff DeWeese. And he has no negative comments on what our what we have proposed for the guidelines for the fire police.
One question was on the physical. What is a physical? Because like for Frederick County, our fire police are required to do the same physical except no fit test. So it's fairly extensive. So are you leaving that up to the AHJ of each county?
Right. What we have done, because each county that has fire police have had a representative at all of our meetings, and we've tried to use a broad guideline to accommodate what they already are doing, if they are doing it. If they're not, this is something for them to follow by. So like Frederick County and Carroll County is the same thing. We have the physicals, and we probably have the same organization doing them. The fire police does everything but the fit test too, because we're not required to wear masks and things like that. So it's a basic baseline physical, but it covers all the necessary. Right. And would hope every HAJ is doing that. It depends on, I guess, where they get their physicals from too.
Yeah, I mean, Chip, I attended some of their meetings, and one of the things that they basically, the folks wanted to agree on was they really needed just to have a stress test. Ops didn't need to have the fit test done. But at the basic is just at least having that they can make sure that they can function while they're out there. So, and that's jurisdiction specific, so they didn't get in the weeds of that, with that, but, and also with what they wrote here, I think it's been through their work group, they've really done a good job over the last year trying to get their guidelines together. And one of the things that I mentioned at their previous meeting up in Frederick was actually invite the Sheriff's Association and have a designee, which Jimmy Dweez, Sheriff Dweez did. And I'll have to get on him from not driving down here, but next time I see him. But I think this is a good move for our fire police to be unified across the state and what they're doing, their training, their certifications at a basic minimum. And we do the exact same thing today with our firefighters, EMS and stuff, and have that in our procedure books. And this is just basic minimum requirements. Now, jurisdictions can certainly exceed what they've put in here if they so desire, or if their sheriff or local police department wants to exceed what's in here, they could certainly do that. But this is just basic minimums for folks, and and again, it's for their safety and just to make sure that they're doing the right thing out there, and that medically, just like we do operationally for the fire service and our firefighters and men and women, to make sure that they can do what we're asking them to do. So I think they've done a good job over the last 2 years getting this together. So.
Couple things that we really have to follow. I don't care where you come from. Of course, under Maryland law, under Articles 7-301 and 7-304, specifically tells what the fire police can do, and all that dictates working with the local sheriff's department. And I know different counties have better relationships with their sheriff's department than others. I'm sure here, Worcester County, they have a good relationship. Dale, I know in Washington County, the sheriff really has probably a lot more control over the fire police than the fire companies do in the way they operate in Washington County. That's why, as we wrote this, it was put in there to leave up to the HAJ because of those relationships and how we work with other organizations. So that's what I covered. And the other thing we gotta follow is the MUTCD guidelines, which controls any organization being on the highway, that covers your flaggers, everybody, and under Section 6I, that covers what fire police can do too. So that's why those appendix are in there, because we got to follow them. Other than that, if anybody has any questions, I would ask for approval of these guidelines to be part of the MSFA manual.
Well, just adding the HJ for the physicals is something I think definitely need to be, because the physicals are varied, and I don't want it to appear that we're requiring that other physical, so add that. The other thing, do we need to somehow mention sheriff's office? Because some of the counties, as you know, if you look at the fire laws book, some counties, they're actually called deputies, not fire police. There's if you look in the fire laws book, it's actually 2 different regulations depending on the location. Some of them are actually deputy sheriffs authorized by the fire chief, and some are fire police under the officer. So I don't know. I think we just should approve this as is, but maybe get to the county, get it with our attorney to see if we need to add somehow a reference to the sheriffs, because some are counties, they're actually deputy sheriffs, but limited authority, but they're directly under the sheriff, and other they're appointed by the chief and operate under the sheriff. But in some counties, they are specifically listed in the law as deputy sheriff.
That's what I added in there.
I don't have the law in front of me, but I think if you look at 703, that designates all the counties except two. 704 specifically, I think, points out Washington County and Cecil County in their differences. So, and I think right now Kent County's looking at forming fire police because they don't have it. I mean, we've had a representative from there, but the sheriff, in my understanding, the sheriff in Kent County is looking to work with the fire companies to form fire police because he wants to help on there. So I think 703 covers all of the other fire police and how they do, and all of them either have some requirements that they've got to meet certain training or have training by the local sheriff department. I know my own case in the city of Westminster, we're auxiliary police to the city of Westminster too. We have requirements where we got to have an annual training through the city police department, but we also would fall under the county because our jurisdiction covers both areas.
Okay.
And technically, if you're out there say we're out there on a vehicle crash and the fire department leaves, the fire police has got to go too because the fire company's not there because we're operating under the fire company in that specific manner unless we're requested by the local sheriff or the state police to be able to do that because that falls under the coverage of workman's comp and stuff like that.
I was just going to mention, we changed that several years ago, so that is defined under workers' comp, that the authority of the fire police under a police agency, as noted in the law, that they are covered under workers' comp. So that actually, up till about 5 or 6 years ago, didn't include the fire police as for their law enforcement duties. So the two sections are specifically in the law now. So a fire police is covered, even if the fire department's not involved. If our sheriff calls out the fire police for a parade,
right,
that the fire department has nothing to do with it, the law now specifically covers our fire police statewide for any law enforcement activities, city, state, or municipal, state, or sheriff. So that is correct, everything. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the draft proposal.
We got a few questions up first. Go ahead, Mark.
I think we should send this to the attorney before we vote on it, because if we vote on it, then send it to the attorney, we're going to be voting on it again.
Yeah, I would suggest that. But also, Bob, while you're there, I think you did receive the comments I put on the draft, because I know I sent it to Kevin. I believe you got it. There's a couple changes on here that I'd like to see. And I'm the secretary of our Worcester County Fire Police Association, which we have a good working relationship with our sheriff's office still. But right up at equipment, at number 1 says the vest has to be class 3. Well, law enforcement and fire are authorized to use class 2. And our fire police have 2 different vests. One is a class 3, one is a class 2. Because the class 2 doesn't have the sleeves on it. So, you know, if we specify that you got to have a class 3, what we're going to do when somebody's out there with a 2 and gets injured, well, they didn't meet your requirements.
Well,
you know, so.
The reason we did that was because we used what was in the MUTCD.
I know. I understand that. And but Kevin, I don't know if Kevin passed these on to your committee, so.
Right.
You know.
No.
You know what I mean? That's why I think our attorney ought to look at it for one thing and make sure we're all covered and we have a standard. And as far as the physicals, yeah, we should go by authority having jurisdiction because Worcester County would do whatever the fire company requires, and each fire company in the county doesn't require the same physical, so whatever their fire company uses is what we've been going through.
Well, and that's why we put in there the AHA, the local jurisdiction having authority.
It's not on this paper.
Right.
It's not on here. It says you have an annual physical. What we're saying is add per the AHJ. You know, well, that's why the attorney ought to look at it, and we got it right. Yes, sir.
You asked for you've submitted some changes, so I guess what they probably need to do is go back and see what changes anybody had submitted to make sure that we capture all of them.
Yep.
And then we're just make sure that we capture any of the changes that were sent to either you or Kevin to update this document. So.
And then we can take action on it at our February meeting if that's fine with you guys.
And then,
you know.
And then
We wanted to present it to you, so, I
Yeah.
mean, we're at your begging.
Wish if anybody's got any
Right.
comments or anything like past President Smothers recommend or says, send them in to Bob or Kevin, and then let them send another draft copy out to us to review.
that way we got an updated copy, we bring it back, and it gives an opportunity for the attorney to take a look at it.
Right.
And then, you know, and the Sheriff's Association's okay with what you've written here, so they've had eyes on it too. Do we know?
Do you know when the state sheriff is going to meet again? I'm not sure. Well, I've checked with Sheriff DeVries and see when his next meeting is. I don't,
Okay.
whether they meet monthly or not.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with their,
I mean, they know that they're doing this, so, I mean,
Right.
that we've gotten their approval, so I'm comfortable with that, but we just, you know, just so, you know, once this gets approved, they should have a copy, each sheriff's office should have a copy of this, so this is what
Right.
the basic minimum requirements are, just so that they're aware of that you're not just, you know, out there
Oh, yeah.
waving a flag, you know what I mean? That you've trained and met the requirements to do what you're asked to do.
well, Sheriff DeVries has a copy of this,
Okay,
and so does the lieutenant.
okay.
Because I shared that with him also, so.
The
so-
lieutenant's got the copy of what I put, with my
Right.
comments on it too, and he agreed with it.
And I have the copy, but unfortunately don't have it with me.
Okay, anybody got any other questions or comments? So our action's gonna be, so we'll send any comments we have to Bob and to Kevin, and then they're gonna send it back to their committee and forward it back out, and then with a copy goes to the attorney for his review.
Yeah.
We'll act on it at our February meeting.
At our February meeting, no problem.
Thank
We'll make that happen. The only other thing I have, and I hope you all looked at it, is the number of line of duty deaths by struck by. To date, for this year, we have 40. And unfortunately, the leader in that group, and I hate to say that, but is law enforcement. They got 19 officers that have been struck and killed. And if you look at Dave Lewis's report from the Cumberland Valley, he has a pretty good chart of line of duty deaths by struck bys from 2020 to today. And it's been a total of 247 in them 4 years, 5 years. And the worst year was 2021 was 65. And we're only 5 short of reaching the same amount we had last year, was 45. So I'm just asking each of you when you're talking to your people out there, make sure you got your head on your swivel and your head on a swivel so you can see what's happening. Like I heard Mitch say down on the boardwalk with the bicycle running into his booth. That's the way it is out there on the highway. And unfortunately, if you read them, majority of those deaths are struck bys by intoxicated drivers. Really. And with the new law and the capability of recreational marijuana, and I'm sure that's making their job that much more harder out there. And that don't help it. So please be careful out there. Yes.
No, I was
Anything
gonna
else?
say no. Corporal, thank you for taking your time and coming to our crazy meeting, but thank you for supporting us.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you,
That's it.
Corporal, for attending. We appreciate you on service.
Thank you all.
Okay. Next up, Members Benefit Branch, reaching the next generation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I took over chairmanship of that committee this past week, and am still gathering information for the committee and what the latest actions have been, and I'll be glad to submit a report at the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, she's already beat me to the punch. Recruitment and retention. On deck is scholarship committees on deck.
Good morning. I had submitted the report electronically. The biggest thing is we are trying to rebuild the recruitment and retention committee. And to do that, I do need your guys' help. I listed in the report for you who our contacts are for every county. As you guys can see, we have several counties that are not represented, and some of the ones that are, we have no contact information for them. Now, I've not finished going through the entire book since Doyle gave them out yesterday, but this is the information that was turned over to me. The last two meetings that we've had about 3 to 4 people that have attended the meeting. I'd like to thank Dale because he went through and found everybody that fell under his jurisdiction for the SAFER grant, and he has provided all of his people and their contact information. And thanks to Kate, because some people have seen our information and they've actually come forward and offered to take on their position in the county. So that has helped fill in a little bit here and there. One of the things that we are working on is trying to put out some more information from the committee through little blurbs, kind of like trying to give them resources to be able to like easily say, hey, you can put this out into your EMS billing or into your local newsletters, things like that. And we're going to work with Kate to try to get some blurbs put into the weekly reports that go out. The other thing that we're going to do is Frederick has a great program with their Gear Up program. Joyce is part of our committee. She has started sharing that information with us to try to help other counties maybe get their new members to come in and feel welcomed. One of the things that we're finding, and I find it at Westminster sometimes too, is keeping them engaged from the time that they come in until the time you can get them in that first MIFRE class. So the program that Frederick has actually helps bridge that gap. So the group is looking at that to see how we can help out and send information out to the other counties and maybe help them fill that period of time from when they come in until they can start taking their classes. And then the last thing that we kind of really discussed was the need to maybe move into more retention. A lot of the discussion was around people that we're starting to lose. Everybody seems to be doing okay right now getting people, but it's keeping them and maintaining them. So we are working to come up with some ways that maybe we can give resources out to the other committee members that can then be distributed to their companies. The last thing is when you guys are going out to the different association meetings, if you can just remind them, they have a very good resource with the marylandvolunteer.org. I'm finding that when we are talking to people, they don't even realize it exists. So I did get information from Kate while we were here this weekend. I'm taking stuff home, and I will start getting it out to the different areas. But if you can just kind of mention that when you're giving your reports to your associations, that is a perfect resource for anybody that wants to have some information. It's already pre-done for you. You just go in and you can design it yourself, and it would be a good resource for those jurisdictions that maybe don't have the people that can come up with the catchy phrases or the information to pass out as easily. My contact information's on there, so if you happen to find any new people for us, that would be greatly appreciated. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Have any questions? Thank you. Scholarship and then Cancer Support Committee up on deck.
Good morning, I'm Barb McCrae. I really want to thank my team. We've worked pretty hard and had several meetings this year. We're reviewing the application and trying to make it a little more comprehensive so that we get better information from the applicants. The two changes we've made, the deadline for scholarship applications this year will be April 1st, not April 15th. And what we've looked at is a lot of times when we get reports from the captain or the president, it says, yeah, the member is in good standing. It's not giving us enough information. So we're sending out a questionnaire after the application comes in to the person's station, requesting that the captain and or president sends us information as to, do they attend meetings, are they participating in fundraising, duty hours, and so forth. So we get a better idea that they're really participating in their station. The other thing is we are really working on the legacy program to promote it. Flyers will be coming out. Frank, do you have any comments on that since you're the one that started that?
We're hopeful that when these flyers come out, they're going to give some interest in this, and we tried to put in there quite a few categories where volunteer fire companies would want to honor someone that is responsible for the beginning of their fire department, generational things where you have multi-generational people in fire departments. They may want to honor a grandparent, and hopefully even as we move along, we're going to be able to build this fund up and just give us an extra resource that we can have additional scholarships.
As a final note, I myself and several members of the committee do travel around to different association meetings to promote the scholarships. It is a great recruitment and retention tool, and we really are looking for some qualified people. There are counties in this state that have never had an applicant for scholarships. I'd love to see that change.
This additional questionnaire that you're going to send out to the chief or the president and ask them to fill it out, is there any concern that if an individual puts the application in and then his or her chief doesn't complete the questionnaire, does that mean the applicant will not be considered?
No, that is not the case, and we will contact them, and it will go out in an email. We find phone calls and so forth don't work. We don't get responses back. But just getting a statement saying, yes, they are, an active member doesn't give us any insight as to what this person does. We've had applicants come in where they did all kinds of things in their company, but didn't necessarily have the grades and other things that made them more available. So we want to be able to take this into consideration as well. It just gives us a little more information when it comes down to 3 people, and they all are pretty similar, but one's more active than another. Gives us a little more information to work with.
My only concern was that some individuals, again, they take the issue, put an application in, and then the president and chief say it's simply cracked, maybe too busy or whatever. I mean, we all send stuff to offices of departments and they get put in an inbox and forgotten about it.
Well, the applicant will be aware that a questionnaire is going to their company, and if we don't get a response, we will request the applicant to make an appeal to their captain or president to fill it out, that it's needed for them to get the scholarship.
Thank you.
Have any other questions or comments? Thank you. National Volunteer Fire Council, past President Dave Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with your approval, I'd like to give a brief report for the Cumberland Valley Association following the NVSC report, both of which have been submitted electronically to you, so you have them in the file. Relative to the National Volunteer Fire Council, Eric Bernard and I continue to represent you on several committees of the NVFC, are very active. We did hold our fall meeting in Kansas City in September. Some of the details of that were forwarded to you by email. And we're now in the early stages of planning for our spring meeting in Alexandria in May. Happy to report that in the past year, the NVSC has awarded nearly $1.5 million in grants, giveaways, and scholarships to our members. We were probably most excited. State Farm had sponsored where they were going to give 500 departments across the United States $10,000 giveaways. We were so overwhelmed with applications that they actually came back and doubled that. So it was that a grant by State Farm Insurance. That was really good. We also sponsored a number of people. Training Summit, which is comes and goes. Plan for Salt Lake City. You've heard a lot people talking about awards. We're also up on the award cycle. So attached to my report is the award criteria for the Jimmy Seavey Health and Wellness Leadership Award, the Junior Firefighter of the Award, and the Junior Firefighter Program of the Year Award. And we've had winners from Maryland in all three of those in prior years. So I would encourage you to look at those as you all do that. You heard some talk yesterday about the OSHA 1910.156. I can tell you that the NVSC has been deeply engrossed in that activity. A number of directors, members, as well as the association did submit comments to that. We just finished up the 11-day hearing period with OSHA. I can tell you that I monitored most of that 11 days, whether I wanted to or not. I actually gave testimony. I had my 7 minutes of fame before the OSHA committee to give my report, my thoughts on that. And again, I think that they received over 4,000 written comments onto it, and the 11 days of testimony were primarily from volunteer departments from across the United States testifying that although we are not opposed to safety, we are opposed to overregulation. The fact that the regulations create a significant administrative burden, they created a significant financial burden to departments small and large, paid or volunteer. The incorporation of more than 20 of the NFPA standards by reference is largely unachievable. There are states that don't offer Fire Officer 3 programs. Maryland has an excellent training program. But yet under OSHA, to be a chief officer, you have to be a Fire Officer 3 if those regulations went in there. And so they heard from that. The proposed regulations impact the volunteer fire service the most. I tell you, having a personal opportunity to travel across this United States, some very small departments, even in Maryland, when you get to Western Maryland or Eastern Shore, where you got some small departments that have a small number of members, they can't live to those. It's not that they're opposed to safety, and a one-size-fits-all solution is not acceptable. The immediate implementation is not acceptable. One of my primary comments was they needed to phase the implementation out. Some things that Dave Dennison from New York he said take 4 highlighters. And the first highlighter, let's call it green, are the stuff you already do. And the second highlighter is the stuff that you can do with some minor changes. And the third highlighter would be some stuff that, well, you could do, but it's going to take some money and it's going to take some time. And then the fourth one is stuff that you'll never be able to do. And I think that message was loud and clear to OSHA. Dave Dennison said it relative to the 4 highlighters. I mentioned it in my testimony relative to the phased implementation. And I think they're willing to go back. And I think that's the good thing. Those hearings were held November 12th, just closed out on December 4th. They reopened, as was said yesterday, reopened the comment period, primarily because there were a number of questions asked during the hearings, and they asked for some additional input. So they reopened the comment period. I owe them some comments based on questions to mine. But we had more than 30 of the state directors of the NVSC were part of those testimony. And I could tell you New York probably brought I'm going to think 100 people in to testify from departments, small and large, across the state of New York. Next steps, I believe, again, they have reopened the comment period. I think we're going to hear some more. Those comment periods open until January 17th. I believe that then they will take a step back and look at the testimony, look at the comments, and I believe that you will see changes to the 650 pages or 900 pages or whatever you want to call it document, but I think they are. They even, at one point, released a statement that says, whoa, we didn't realize what we did. And I think Harv mentioned yesterday the letter that they sent out and says, we didn't realize, maybe we didn't do our homework. And they admitted they didn't do their homework. So they're back to the drawing board, and we'll keep you up to date because, again, NDSC is deeply invested in that as it impacts departments across the United States. Another major program that I've been involved with is behavioral health assistance. Again, Chaplain Long mentioned the holiday season is among us. It can be very stressful. So again, please, we have the resources within the NVSC Share the Load program, the Responder Safety Helpline, that resources are available, and encourage you to look at that. I've also been, it was mentioned earlier about the U.S. Fire Administration and the summit and the work groups that would come out of that, and now there are subgroups to the work groups. I've been assigned to the work group on mental health, so we'll be meeting after the first of the year to kind of address some of the issues that came up at a national level through the U.S. Fire Administration. I've also been assigned to the subgroup that's looking at some of the recruitment and retention issues. So again, we do have the member benefit program through a partnership with Provident Insurance that does provide access to our members and their families. NVSC continues to offer an extensive network of training. We have a lot of training opportunities through our online virtual learning network, webinars that we've conducted online, as well as in-person opportunities. And I know Kate's probably looking at the NVSC offerings to see if we want to bring any of those to convention. If not, we'll get together with her. Our training summit in 2024. Unfortunately, the training summits are right the same week as our convention. So typically I leave the convention on Tuesday afternoon because I've got to fly somewhere on Wednesday to participate in the NVSC training summit. But we did have a successful event in Buffalo, New York, with more than 200 attendees across 40 states. So looking at health and safety, recruitment, retention, and leadership. And this was our 10th year. So we're planning now for our 2025 summit, which again will be late June, June 20th, 21st, going to Salt Lake City this year. So, and to our NVSC members, travel stipends will continue to be available. Last meeting, I gave you all a copy of our new family guide. We've actually now got a training program in our virtual learning network that accompanies that. We actually also put we have a version of that family guide out in Spanish, recognizing the significant Hispanic population that we have across the United States. So I'll just kind of close that out. Remember that don't forget the all-state membership program, which MSFA participates in, that gives your members access to a $10,000 AD&D policy, the First Responder Assistance Program, free training opportunities and stipends, other sponsorships and award programs that we have. NVSC dues will go up to $24 in 2025. MSFA enjoys being locked in at 18 because that 18 was the number that we used when we secured our SAFER grant. So when our SAFER grant run out, so there's our benefit of being $18. But MSFA pays 1/2 of that 18, so that means for your dues for your members is just $9. The benefit to the MSFA is our state dues are normally $500, but since we have over 500 members, those dues are waived. So we actually, MSFA enjoys the benefit of saving having to pay the $500 state association dues. So I would encourage you to use this as gifts to your membership. I personally, through Odin, we've actually signed up every one of our members is also an NVFC member. So think about that gift of membership as you do. So That concludes what I have to say about NVSC, unless you have any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Have a quick one.
Yes, sir.
Dave, a number of years ago, I signed up for the membership. Haven't been getting any dues notices.
Okay. It does go out. They do go out, but you know, so if it was a couple of years ago, you probably since expired as a member. So join back up. $9.
Yeah, good. Sign up. Yeah.
They do go out. I do because we got some earlier for our folks in Newton, and they say, what do we do about that? And I said, we're taking care of your membership fees. So.
Just sign up on the road, and then I think that's what we'll do too.
You have your MDFC representative sign you up and take care of it.
Well, I'd like to know where the notice went, so that's okay.
I don't know. I can't. You know, I'm not the membership chair, so I can't address that. Okay.
Okay, Dave, you said you had another report.
Yeah,
you
I
wanna
did
go over
submit
fast?
one to you for Cumberland Valley Volunteer Firefighters Association. I'd asked previously that we be included in the agenda with the state partners or wherever you want to put me on the agenda, but I think it's important. I have the pleasure of currently serving as president of the Cumberland Valley Volunteer Firefighters Association. We've taken a lot of initiative in the last year and a half that I've been president, until August when my term will go out. To kind of reorganize that association, put some more structure to the organization, and now we're going to what I call kind of a rebranding effort, and we kind of publicize the fact that we started with joining hoses together, and now we join people together. And if you don't know what I mean by joining hoses together, the Cumberland Valley Association goes back to a history of 1901 when the companies that bordered the Cumberland Valley Railroad, which ran from Winchester, Virginia, through parts of West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania, up to Harrisburg, joined together to form common SOPs, common working arrangements. And one of the unique things was that there is, and is still a patent on the books for the Cumberland Valley hose thread, so that when they worked together, they could couple their hoses together. Problem that we still haven't solved today, because I know, my water in Odin comes from Baltimore City, so my hydrants are Baltimore City hose thread, but if I go next door to Fort Meade, I gotta have a federal fit to get up to those hydrants. So we haven't totally solved that problem, but we worked it in 1901. So we went from coupling hoses to coupling people, because again, we, through our President's Council that we have once a year and things like that, we have the leadership of the state associations from 7 or 8 different states that kind of come together. One of the things we're most proud of is our efforts within the Emergency Responder Safety Institute, which operates as a committee of the Cumberland Valley Volunteer Firefighters Association. Bob Cumberland mentioned the graphic that appears in my report, the 5-year struck by. Again, our goal is to reduce the number of line of duty deaths that we have from being struck on America's roadways. That's why we do what we do, and we put a significant amount of effort into that. Some of you may have seen the newscast that just the other day, the fire truck that was struck by a tractor trailer in Michigan. It was a near miss for those folks. Those folks, luckily were out of harm's way when it happened, but too many times we're losing $1 million fire trucks out on these highways. We work closely with the Federal Highway Administration. I serve as the CVVFA representative on the executive leadership group to the Federal Highway Administration, and we meet regularly to kind of work those hazards across the nation's highways. Most recently, we work slow with the Federal Highway for Crash Responder Safety Week in November 18th to 22, pushing out the theme of responders ahead, reduce your speed as you proceed, highlighting the need for motorists to slow down. Slow down, move over laws exist in all 50 states plus the District of Columbia, but we can't get the public to pay attention, as each one of you, everyone know. We're very proud of what we've done. We believe that we've reduced the number of line of duty deaths in fire and EMS. We're kind of trying to work closely with the other disciplines. We've been working a lot, actually, the last 3 years with the tow industry to help, because again, as Bob noted, our primary fatalities out on the highways are law enforcement officers and tow operators. And I know I've worked closely. I just completed writing a second article for the American Towman magazine to kind of provide them some information on what we do. We provide free access to our resources and our learning network, again, which are referenced in there. We're proud that we have more than 150,000 users, subscribers to our Learn Learning Network from more than 125 different countries. So we actually have international acclaim for what we do relative to that. So our Cumberland Valley, we're gearing up for our next quarterly meeting. I call it our winter meeting, February 1st and 2nd at the Lancaster, Pennsylvania Training Center. We got a training session scheduled on Saturday to talk about traffic incident management improvements with technology, and then Sunday we'll have our business session. So I invite you to join us for the meeting. I invite you to join us as a member of our association. So another thing we just recently launched was drivereducators.org. Provide resources to drivers education instructors because we felt that was important, that we teach young drivers how to be smarter drivers and not be dumb, distracted, dizzy, drunk, whatever other D you want to put behind it, that maybe their parents. I know that I still recall when my son grew up was probably in a time when we all didn't wear our seatbelts like we should have. And I immediately told him when he get in the car to put his seatbelt on. And it wasn't too long that we'd get in the car and he'd say, "Buckle up, Daddy." And I still remember those times. And maybe we need to same thing with the distracted drivers. That, Mom, Dad, put the cell phone down. Pay attention to the drivers. So we provide those resources. So I thank you for allowing me the time to report today, both from National Volunteer Fire Council and the Cumberland Valley Association. And I'm here to provide you any support you need if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody have any questions, comments? Thank you. Teresa, do you have any more reports on Health and Wellness Committee? Then after Teresa, if anybody committee was not on our agenda or needs to report, you're on deck.
The committee's been working independently right now. I do know that I sent Chief Cox the information for a request for the budget. There's a life safety conference for first responders in March in Ocean City. Several of the team members are going to it. Asked for a donation so that we can be a part of the sponsorship level. This is a 2-day course that is very beneficial. It's led by the Ocean City Fire Department, and some of those people are on the team. A lot of people will be attending on behalf of their own departments. I talked to Dave, he's going. I know that 4 or 5 of us are going from Prince George's County, so our fees have been paid for that, but wanted to be part of the sponsorship to get our name out to that community. Working on the resources, I got to get with the chaplains because Chappie and John, you were supposed to make a toolbox, and I just not been able to follow up with you, so I apologize. So I got to get with you guys because I know that some of the resources are already there and it's been listed, but we want to get a better aspect of this. Just little things like that, we got to build it back. So just moving forward, I do know that there was a bill submitted last year for the legislation to help some of the peer support aspects. It did not pass. So Mary Lehman is going to try to do that again, especially the suicides that are an issue for the fire service, public safety in general. And not many people know this, but her brother committed suicide, so that's why she's so committed. He was not in the fire service. He grew up in Greenbelt with all of us. A lot of his friends were all firemen. He didn't go that route. But but he would always hang out at the firehouse with us. So she's very committed to the helping support that. So hopefully she'll be able to resubmit that bill, and then moving forward, whatever we can do, we're here. I do know that some of the team members have been reaching out to their peers to ensure that they have support when there's been a major issue. They have called, said that their department sent them, and then working closely with the union because it's an all-encompassing support level. Mike Wells is no longer the resource person for Prince George's County. It's been given to another person, and actually we're into this third person because promotions within the department, and then therefore so they have to go to a different area of the department, so they're not able to fulfill the request. And their peer support falls within the union. It does not come from the fire department. So that's a big concern there. But other than that, if you need anything, just let us know. Can I do the cancer thing real quick too for Susan? Yep. So Susan has to step down for some medical issues. I'm not sure what's going on. I really haven't been able to talk to her about it. She does have some gift cards that we got to get out. We do know that there's a couple that are in question, so we're going to take care of that when we get back. And then the cancer walk, working and talking to some people, finding out that Annapolis is going to be doing a more extensive change, just because they're going to be changing the lower part where the dock is. They're actually doing more. I talked to Bud Sapotic from Annapolis City, and we're looking at August now, possibly moving it to August. Got to get the committee together with Susan, see what she can do. I'm trying to keep her on there, but I don't want her to leave. But I can't do that. I'm their support to help whatever she needs. But the thought is to do a crawl, a cancer crawl. And Tony Clark, who is Ron's nephew, works for a distributor out of Baltimore County, in Baltimore City, I'm sorry. He knows a lot of the places down there, so he's going to do some talking to Stan and Joe's. They're going to get some of the people. We talked about going to the ice cream parlor and then making a family event, and then Tony's going to talk to the Lowe's Hotel and see if they can get a block of rooms for people if they don't want to drive home that night, just have a family event. So we're trying to make it a lot of encompassing things. Because of the way they're doing the construction, it's going to affect what we do on the norm. So we're just trying to figure out ways to either push it past, but we're not doing it. We just want to be able to get around that construction because we learned some crazy lessons with that is with the DLR building, even though they're supposed to be in it, they're still not in it, kind of. So traffic is like really messed up because they messed the circle up. So the flooding that's been occurring in Annapolis, that really has pushed this redevelopment plan faster because they have businesses that are leaving that area because they can't get insurance to cover their loss because it's a floodplain. So that's a big issue. So like Mission Barbecue had a huge flagship store down there. Well, they left because they lost a lot of revenue because of the flooding. So the city is building, I did see some of the plans. They're going to build ballards so that they can raise if waters start to rise, and then lower when the water recedes. So it's going to take a little while, so they have the plans. So we're looking at things, and we're just trying to get it out there. But if you know of anybody that needs the support of the Cancer Committee, we're here for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reference to what Teresa was saying about the Ocean City event, one of the key people in that was the winner of the Smith-Statham Safety Award a couple of years ago from our association, Eric Olson. He's one of the paramedic firefighters in the department. We just wanted to bring that up. That we've got a real close tie with that event.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, we're at old business. Mr. Secretary, do you know if there's any table motions or anything we need to act on? Okay, thank you. We say skips under old business? All right. Frank said you and him's under old business. All right, new business. Have any new business? Nothing over there from that table. Good to the order. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to announce that the Anne Arundel Volunteer Firefighters Association is planning an Anne Arundel Fire Summit for January the 18th at the Chesapeake Arts Center in Brooklyn. Register online. It's $30. They're going to, the keynote presentations are going to be by Frank Viscuso. We'll be presenting his Step Up and Lead discussion, and Coralie Moore will be presenting the 9 L's of leadership. This is open to anyone, career, volunteer, civilians. For non-Anne Arundel residents, it's $30 per seat. That includes lunch. Any questions? I believe the information is on the Anne Arundel Volunteer Fire Association website. Or you can contact me, and I'll put you in touch with the right people. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought you said you had nothing.
What was the date for that, Brian?
Okay, have a seat. Just a reminder to everybody. You know, we've changed the name, done this, done that. A lot of things I have already ordered, got them in place, but if anyone, and I know the executive committee, I gave you your bullions, name badge and everything, but if any of the committee chairs or PPs or officers, appointed officers and so on, needs a name badge, bullion, whatever you want to call them, send me an email and I can get it ordered and get them taken care of. That is it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Brooks.
Good evening. Pardon my tardiness. I had informed the president a couple months ago that I would be taking my granddaughters to Disney last week. We left Friday night to come home after they shut down 95 for 3 hours in Florence. And we got them to bed at 1 o'clock. We got into Washington yesterday afternoon just in time for the Army-Navy game and for them to shut down 495. It was an excellent game. And they shut down 95 to bring the incoming president from Andrews across to the stadium, so we enjoyed that as well. Anyway, I got Kathy out at 6 o'clock this morning and brought her down here. The only thing, and I thank, Mr. Harv for carrying the torch yesterday and this morning until I got here. The only thing that we've got is the usual end-of-year election phone calls and questions, and I'm going to say it until it goes away or I'm thrown out, and that is stop trying to screw the members, all right? And this is what always happens. I get these phone calls, we're going to suspend our bylaws. No, you're not. Oh, yeah, we're going to suspend our bylaws. We've done it before. I said, you're wrong. You don't suspend the bylaws, right? There's no provision to suspend bylaws, all right? Then it's, well, we got a guy. I said, stop right there. You're going to make a change because of a guy. Well, yeah. I said, so who are you trying to screw?
Don't make it point.
I mean, pardon the expression, but that's what it is, right? Thanks, Chief. So I carry that message. We need to, if you're going to change something, please do it back in June, July, and August, right? And not running into November and December and try to jam it down everybody's throat to accomplish goals, all right? And we'll leave goals as a generic statement. So that's the parliamentary side. We do have a member in Harford County in Falston who is about to become a registered parliamentarian. He's going to be taking his boards, I think, this month. I talked to him at their banquet the other week. So that's something that, we look forward to. The last thing I want to say, because rumors travel fast, I did not crash, all right? say that again, I did not crash. But on October 30th at 9 o'clock in the morning at 3,000 feet over the Chesapeake Bay, I did lose an engine, all right? And I turned my airplane into a glider and found my way into Cecil County. Imagine that, because I had 3,000 feet and I had to glide 3 miles. And I told the guy that was with me, who some of you know, Tom Coulter, and I said, you want to go in the C&D Canal or you want me to try for that field? He says, I don't want to swim this morning. I was like, okay, we're not going to swim. So we landed in the field very fast because we were coming down the rate about 1,000 feet a minute at 100 miles an hour, and I could make it to my landing site that I designated, touched the ground, kept on running, was going down this hill in this lady's field, and there was a ditch at the end, so I pulled back on the yoke to make the plane fly and hop over the ditch, landed on the other side going up the hill looking at a 3-wire barbed wire fence, got around that, and the bottom line is no injuries, no damage to the airplane, and the homeowner knew the guy that was flying with me, and she said, you can leave it here till spring planting. Okay. So when you talk, right, what the hell, thanks. You're right. At the end of the day, and I'm very particular about my airplane, it was a gasket around a 4x4 air filter that sucked into the carburetor intake. And it was like putting a piece of cardboard up, and it just cut it out. It choked it right out. 2 weeks later, I flew it out of the field because I wasn't going to let anybody else. I wouldn't put anybody else at risk. I had to fly it and take it home. And it was a total of 9 minutes from where we left to where I landed, and 9 minutes for me to take it back and put it in the barn. So it was an interesting day. That is called shush. That is called an off-field landing. It is not a crash, right?
That would be correct.
Right, thank you. I
You
appreciate
walked away.
that.
That's
Walked
correct.
away, no damage.
Been there, done that. Been
Yeah,
there, done
exactly,
that. Yeah,
exactly.
been there, done that.
So we got it done. So I just wanted to make sure as the stories, I got one question this morning, and I've told the story a couple times. I want to make sure it's interpreted properly, but thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be with all of you on the Eastern Shore. Yes, Mr. President, go ahead.
Brother Parliamentarian.
Yes, sir.
Would you care to share the first words you said with the engine shut out with us?
I cannot, all right? and I have the ladies from Singerly back there with their mother, who up to this point may hold me in some nice regard, and I'm not going to say anything else. So, right, Mrs. Trago? All right, and if you're not watching, you need to go home. Good. You should have left 3 hours ago. That too. All right. Thank you. That's all. All right.
Thank you. Glad you walked away with no problems and your plane's okay too.
When you walk away, it's a good day. I've been there, done that. So.
But you know what? If I'd have dinged the prop or bent a strut or damaged a wing, the insurance would have kicked in.
That's right.
Guess who gets to pay for everything now?
You.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you can pay for it, see? You're not talking to Ben. You're not talking to Ben. Take care of everything.
I appreciate that. I don't want to talk to Ben either.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do reports of the executive committee. So we'll start with Lee Lutz, please, and we'll come down that side, and we'll skip over his side.
What is this, morning? Is it still morning?
We want to see what time.
Good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings from Prince George's County and President Donald Wells. First off, I'd like to thank the Berlin Fire Company for hosting this gathering here this weekend. I think they did an excellent job. I know they've hosted it before, and we seem to always have a good time when we come here, so my hat's off to you. I'd like to thank all the members of the executive committee for everything they do, and all the committee chairs out there and committee members. They're what keeps this association going. In PG County, we're working through our various problems. I think they're pretty well publicized. It's turmoil sometimes, and other times it's just hard. Coming up in February, we have our special tribute. This will be at Branchville. The 4 people we are honoring this year are Hugh Owens from the Glendale Fire Association Incorporated, Teresa Ann Chrisman from the Greenbelt Ladies Auxiliary, Tony Pierce from the from the Baden Ladies Auxiliary, and Glenn Johnson from the Volunteer Fire Department of Brandywine. This is February the 15th. It starts at 1 o'clock. The tickets are $30 per person or $240 a table. There are a limited number of tickets. We have already sold almost 100. We're only selling 200 because we can't seat any more people in there. So if you don't have you haven't purchased your tickets by the 25th of January, there's a chance you won't be able to attend this because with the limited amount of seating. So Sandy Lutz has tickets back there today. If you want to buy some, feel free. I know most of you all know Teresa, and probably a lot of you know Huey, and the other people have been around for a long time. This is one of our things we're trying to honor people before it becomes too late. Unfortunately, we've had a few in the past who haven't made it to this tribute. So anyway, we're having it on the 15th. We transferred this out from October because there were so many things going on in October, and we tried to get it before the spring things started coming around. So I think we're probably going to end up sticking with this particular month from now on out because there seems to be less things going on. So other than that, I wish you all a happy holiday season and safe travels. Thank you.
Greetings from the Allegheny Garrett, and on behalf of President Dayton, who's back there doing something. Thank you to Bel Air. Again, wonderful weekend, and it always is. So, or a lot Bel. Sorry about, I'm looking at Steve Cox. But anyway, thank you. It was a great weekend. Enjoy it every time we come down to the shore. Allegheny County is running into a new DES director. I'm operating underneath the acting director for right now. We'll see how things go in the future for that. Garrett County is an acting director. Their director up there has some serious health issues, and they're operating underneath a acting director up there also. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and safe travels. We'll see what Western Maryland has to bring. It doesn't look very good right now. Okay.
Thank you. To the Berlin Fire Department, thank you for your hospitality. Beautiful apparatus, beautiful firehouse, and of course the volunteers here, thank you. I want to first start off by saying to the Chairman Steger, I said something to you a couple months ago about Jim Snyder introduced me to you. I never had seen you, I knew who you were. Ocean City Fire Department was a very big part of my life, but to know the fire chief, to shake his hand was one thing. But here I am years later as an executive committee member working under you. Thank you very much for your leadership. To the presidents, thank you for your continuous support. For the auxiliary, thank you for everything that you do. For Montgomery County, we finally got a new fire chief. Corey Smudley from Prince George's County, did some time in Alexandria. One of my goals as president of our association is to stay in front of him and say the word volunteer as much as I can. I continue to push the volunteer participation with the fire chief. I continue to push the volunteers in Montgomery County. Recruitment and retention is a big part of our success. Each department needs to continue to do that, and we're doing that. One of the other things we have done very well is our bonding contract. We have a contract with the government, Montgomery County government, and we are very, very successful. And one thing that we had just got done through the last negotiations was to come up with a standard for EMS members. Our EMS members always had to go through a firefighter's physical. Now we have got that towards an EMS physical. We are finding that we have more members that are more EMS oriented and want to be more involved, and that is a big part of our success as volunteers. We continue to work with the training academy, and I can't say enough for Steve Cox and his company for coming to my meetings. I have asked them to come to our meetings more than once, and they come to our meetings. They're virtual, and to have them representing us as volunteers is a big part of our success in Montgomery County. Because I can tell you, listening to Lee over here, struggling with some of the issues in his county, I've learned and listened to what's going on, and I bring some people that support the volunteers. We're a very, very proud organization. We continue to move forward as a volunteer organization, and I can't be more prouder to be at this level at the state. Thank you, sir.
A question for you. Thank you for your report. But can you send the information out on the EMS only physical? Because we're trying to start that program in Ocean City. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We started a few years ago. Then when COVID hit, it sort of went down to 2, but we're trying to bring it back now. Because like you said, we have a lot of people interested in being EMS only. Since Ocean City Volunteer Fire Company doesn't really run the ambulance service, the town of Ocean City does, but we do this, and we got people interested in doing it. Thank you. Dale.
I'll echo all the thank yous to Berlin that already existed. It was a great weekend here, great facility to have a meeting, and their hospitality is always excellent. Greetings from Washington County and President Jimmy Sprecher of our association. Washington County continues to be in a transition where we're career and volunteers, so we're fighting with fighting to keep the volunteer system alive as they are enhancing us with career personnel. We just brought on in the career side ambulance last month, which was definitely needed as we all know the EMS system struggles. But we assure that we fight for maintaining the volunteer presence there as well. With that, I just wish everybody a happy holiday and Merry Christmas, and everybody have safe travels home.
And good afternoon, or still good morning, from Frederick County, President Jim May. Thank you, Berlin, for a wonderful weekend, and I greatly appreciated the information on the antique fire apparatus downstairs, and I've talked to Jonathan. We definitely will have something in the trumpet about that piece and maybe some other ones as we go along. A couple things from Frederick County. We are looking at implementing some additional standards effective January 1. There has been some negotiation with our operations committee and the county chief, and they've gone back and forth. They have minimized them to some degree from what they were. And they did agree to do a grandfathering at anybody's in position January 1st, give them in a position. So it's not quite as bad as it was looking at. What's happening to a great degree is the report from the line of duty death several years ago, a couple years ago with Battalion Chief Laird, and some of those recommendations they're trying to implement. That is a priority with the county executive. So we are trying to implement those recommendations so they certainly meet the intent, but do not have such an adverse effect on the volunteer system. So we're trying to hit that happy medium, and luckily they did agree to a grandfathering provision for those that are in position now. We are in the budget process, and one of the things our county has a grant for, what we're looking at is probably the first electric engine in the state of Maryland. We all know it's going to happen sooner or later, as technology changes, but it looks like we will probably have the first electric, I'm sure, to be a Pierce, at least in the process in the not too distant future. I have no idea, but I have a feeling it's 7 figures plus.
It's $2 million.
Yeah,
and
it's way over.
That doesn't include the $250,000
With the grant.
electric to the stations.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, but and it's going to happen. I mean, they're doing electric railroad locomotives, or trying to, so it's going to happen. But I think we may be a little early. But we're going to be. It'll be interesting. It will not be at Liberty Town, thank God. We implemented a new CAD system. We have installed the Motorola P1 CAD, which is creating, I feel sorry for people in communications, and those of you that work in communications know what I'm saying. Having been there for many years myself, I really feel for them. because essentially we do not have a box area anymore. It's all determined by the computer who goes where when, which is a great system if you're flat in a fully paid department. But when you have mountains up to 2,000 feet and valleys that go below that, and you have volunteer career combination, and the MBTs disconnect right in my firehouse, it is, shall we say, challenging. Even the career guys know they feel like they're watching Wheel of Fortune when the call goes out. They just don't even question anymore. They just hop in and go. So at any rate, and I understand there's other jurisdictions, we are looking at going CAD to CAD with some of our surrounding counties as a result of this, which that's been put off again. So that should be an interesting concept. It is a needed concept. I don't doubt that, because anybody that was a dispatch, you know, when you're trying to put in a mutual aid call, the whole world's listening to you while you're typing, and all you have to do is make one error, then you got to retype everything, and everybody thinks you're the dumbest person in the world because it takes you 2 minutes to dispatch it. But they don't have to sit on that computer while the whole world's listening. So that'll be a plus, but the new CAD has been a bit of a challenge. Mr. President, thank you again for the appointment, and I certainly enjoy serving with my fellow members of the Executive Committee, and thank everybody for their hard work all year. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a happy, healthy, and safe 2025.
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you for being here this weekend. I'd like to thank Berlin Fire Company for hosting us. It's been a pleasure serving the first 6 months, and I have been busy working in Kent, Queen Anne's, and Caroline counties. Hopefully it'll get easier over the next few months. Now we got through the 508 issues with some chiefs not submitting reports. So hopefully the load will get a little easier. I've been quite busy traveling the state, going to different association meetings. And I definitely appreciate all the executive members that I've reached out to for their guidance over the past 6 months. It's been a pleasure working with everybody in this room, working with the 3 presidents, and I look forward to my continued years of service to this organization. Thank you.
I bring greetings from Carroll and Howard County. Carroll County, we continue to go through the process to become a combination department. Past couple months, the county has increased the number of career medic units in volunteer houses. They've also brought on paid drivers. They're looking at hiring some training people so they can start having their own academy and go to an academy status for training. We also continue to work through the budget process, and we also continue to look at other challenges facing us now and certainly in the future as far as funding and different training requirements that the county government is looking at, similar to what other folks have already said. I certainly want to also acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the leadership of our county association who continue to work with this ongoing challenge on a daily basis. Howard County, they continue to go through the process. They have basically did some reorganization where they are now a 501c3 volunteer association. So as they continue through that process, they're learning about the different things and the requirements that they're now under and other opportunities that they now have available as far as donations coming into the association. They also continue to work through the budget process and those challenges as they move forward in their county. They recently decided at their one county association meeting that in lieu of a plaque or a trophy to recognize somebody, they are going to reach out to the state Fallen Firefighters Memorial in Annapolis and buy bricks in honor of their people. So we think that obviously that's a positive thing, not only for the folks in the foundation, but also for the members. Again, we all have plenty of plaques, we have plenty of citations, so the brick was a good idea, and everyone seems very pleased with that. I certainly want to echo the comments that were made about the Berlin company this weekend, the hospitality, the facility and everything. Also want to thank President Carey for arranging to get tickets for the Festival of Lights, allowing us who wanted to go through that at no cost, and we appreciate that. And then finally, As it's been said, wish everyone a safe holiday season and look forward to seeing everybody in Ridge. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, too, would like to thank the Berlin Volunteer Fire Company for, again, hosting our executive committee meeting. This has been great. I bring you greetings from President Mike Sohn and all the officers of the Anne Arundel Volunteer Firefighters Association. We are continuing to work on our reciprocity agreement, which is like an MOU in other counties. It's moving at a snail's pace, but it's moving. Everything is status quo that way. No threats are being made. Nothing's been interrupted by the county fire administration to affect the volunteers in a negative way. Good news is, at my station, we have cleared the last hurdle for approval of a new structure, so hopefully they'll be breaking ground in the summer. And I also want to wish everyone here a Merry Christmas and a very safe and happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will also want to thank the Berlin Fire Department, our company here for this weekend. They do an excellent job here, especially when we have our meetings here. They're very accommodating. I'm going to echo what Chip Jewell said from Frederick County, so I won't rehash that. But we have a good presence here around the state, and I'll put my elected official hat on here. It's very important for us, even in the small municipalities, to make sure that folks understand what you do. From the mayor and council to the county executive, they don't understand what the volunteer fire service is or does, a lot of the elected officials. They see us go in and out on calls and stuff like that, but you need to make your presence known. Part of our effort and be able to get budgeted items that we need is to go before those men and women to state your case. We're seeing a lot of our departments across the state become combination services, but typically when we see that the cost goes up on the county side, where volunteers can really save dollars and cents, and they don't really have that understanding of that. And we're the portal for our volunteers to help our legislative folks understand that. Along when you bring FTEs in, it's dollars and cents. It costs you a lot more to make things happen, where volunteers can help you save and reduce that cost. But we got to be able to retain our folks, and I know we're working on a myriad of agendas and directives and training classes to make sure that we keep our people that we currently have. So we don't want to lose anybody going forward. But just keep that in mind. You need to start at your local level too, and all the way up through the county executive and state level. Bob does an excellent job in Annapolis. We're getting ready to get spooled up for that. So our presence really needs to be known. We got a lot of new elected faces down there. They don't really know who we are. Of course, with Jimmy Malone's illness, that's going to be a big hit for us in Annapolis. So we really need to step up the game, and we're certainly praying for him through his illness. He's been one heck of a supporter for us. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers during this holiday season. We work very well with our partners around the state. Of course, we just had a partners meeting, and the connectivity that we have, we're really second to none when you look at how other states do things and how fire, rescue, EMS, hospitals, associations really make things work here. And, I can tell you as a past president going around to the neighboring states, they're always asked how Maryland's able to do what we do. And it took us 50 years to get here, but we make it work. We don't get everything we ask for, but we certainly keep moving the needle where everybody else is looking at what Maryland does. So that's a plus for us. I also want to say thank you to our committee members over the last year that work and help do the backbone work for this organization, and that's how we grow. each and every one of us that sit on a committee benefits us. So I want to say thank you to everybody, our presidents, the executive board, and I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and a Happy New Year and safe travels as you go around and visit your family and friends this year. And we'll see you next year. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Past President Steve Cox.
You running for office?
He's already got there, but I think he's ready for next campaign.
I was going to say, I thought you were elected to the town council.
Well, it was, but they wanted me to run for mayor, so I'll wait for that one.
I think you're practicing. Had to get that in. First of all, thank you to Berlin. I'd like to echo what my colleagues have said. It's been great this weekend. The hospitality's been superb. Also, I want to thank the audience. And too many times we've tried to conduct business here in the front of the room and can't do the business because it's been so noisy. You've been great this weekend. I think the chairman only tapped the gavel one time. From the Hartford Cecil, just a couple changes at our last association meeting. Joe Price went in as president. One of the things that we'll be looking at our January 10th meeting is a bylaw change.
You almost made it, see? That means we're done.
You
There it off. Hey, Steve, Eric, you borrow your minutes.
That's right. And I could have accused him of using the batteries, but oh well. That's okay. Anyhow, we're changing, we've got a bylaw amendment changing from 5 votes per company to 1 vote per company. So we'll see how that pans out. Cecil County has a new president. Robbie Mueller is now president of Cecil County. That's given me a message. It's time to shut up.
That's right. Hey, lunch is ready.
Yeah, real quick.
No, we ain't ready.
Patrick Campbell is the new DES director in Cecil County, and John Gallagher is the new president in Hartford County. And I was very pleased to see Hartford County's president and Cecil County's president here yesterday. So a lot of good things there. Thank you. Happy holidays to everyone.
Randy, you're up. You're up. Food's getting put out, so you gotta hurry up.
Okay, ditto. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks, Berlin, for hosting us. Thanks to the ladies, and as I say, the different chairmen and groups that hung in here with us all weekend and still here right now. I'll bring you greetings from our president, J.W. King, Calvert Charles, of St. Mary's County. Our next association meeting is January 27th at my station at Dunkirk. So if you don't have nothing to do, it's the northern part of Calvert. Come on down. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. And I'll bring you greetings from Worcester County, Wycomico, and Somerset. We did have the Wycomico County president was here yesterday for a few hours, Miss Holly, and the Worcester County president was here for an hour yesterday. Couldn't get anybody else to come in, but appreciate, like everybody else has said, the audience that's been out here. That's what makes this association. It's not ours, it's everybody's, it's yours. So appreciate it. We had about 70 people here yesterday. We had 45 here this morning at 9:30. So we thinned out a little bit, but you know, I appreciate you all for staying. And just like to thank Berlin. And if you didn't stop downstairs yesterday in the engine room and look at their 1924 Mac, it turned 100 years old on December 9th. Is when it was delivered here in 1924. So it's downstairs. We say you remembered it? Oh, Skip did, yeah, you're right. Him and Frank. So that's all I had to say. Thank you. We'd like to go to, let me see who's next here. One is, remember, put on your calendar, February 22nd, 23rd, we will be at Ridge in St. Mary's County. Mr. President, you're up.
In reference to the Ridge date, it's probably going to be a little chilly down there. So with the with the chairman of the executive committee, might I suggest that just as a means of creating a warm atmosphere, that the executive committee and the officers of the association wear Hawaiian shirts on the Saturday of that day.
That's fine with me. Piece this tie. Is that all the comments you had? Because we're moving down to checking out here. We're getting ready to eat lunch. No, not really, but yes. That was what you got called for. And the first vice president's next, then the second vice president, then Ms. Sherry's going.
To Berlin Fire Company, even to Joe P., thanks for all the work you've done. Joe P. is the gentleman drinking there at the door. He is a thorn in my side forever. He also does all of the printing when I ran for office for me. So thank you guys. We could not ask for a better weekend. To you people out there, just like Roger said, you're why we're here, not us. It's yours association. Merry Christmas, happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year. And when you travel home today, please be safe. We're losing too many people, and we need you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Same thing, Dave Fitzgerald, President, thank you. Berlin Fire Department's done an absolutely fantastic job. The hospitality's been great, and the services provided. Thank you very much. It's great. I've got some preliminary planning information done for next year. Many questions have come up as to when we're going to do things and so on. Actually, the dates are all confirmed, and I'll get those out in the near future. I'd like to thank all of you here for the work that you do, the executive committee, the committees, and the membership that's attended. Been fantastic. We've had a great weekend. We couldn't do what we do in this association without all of you helping us accomplish the mission. So thank you all very much. Merry Christmas to you, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in Ridge.
Thank you.
I would just like to also thank Berlin Fire Company for all their support and help this weekend. Very well attended. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I went down there and looked at the old Mac. She's a pretty truck. I want to also reiterate that we are here for everyone out in the audience as well as for the executive committee. I want to thank you for this opportunity to be your second vice president. Wow, I never knew 6 months would go so quick. But I want to thank all the past presidents, all the executive committee members for their help and understanding, and I'm learning the book a little better. So I do want to wish everyone a happy holiday season and reiterate to please be safe out there and look out for the other guy. Thank you.
President Sherry, any of your junior presidents have anything to say? They're welcome.
I thought I'd come up to the mic and not get yelled at, but I think he's figured everything out about how it's not working. So.
He's gonna turn you on.
Just on behalf of the Ladies Auxiliary, we thank you guys for including us in this. We enjoy coming. Had a great weekend. Thank you, Berlin. Wish you all safe travels and happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Any comments from the senior and junior vice presidents? Okay. And after the chaplain gets done, Berlin does have some lunch over here that if you would like to have it before you hit the road. Thank you. You're up. We're up.
Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for this weekend, Father. We thank you for this opportunity to serve the fire service of the state of Maryland. Father, now as we get ready to depart, we ask you to watch after our travels, give us safe travels home. And Father, look after those who are responding to calls, protect them and guide them and bring them home safely. And most importantly, Father, look after our military folks serving around the world, ensuring the freedoms for us to be here this weekend. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.